It's Friday, October 24th, 2025. Happy Halloween! It's Friday, October 31st, 2025. All right, let's start off as we often do sometimes by reminding you that if you'd like to support our show, you can go to supportourshow.com, and there you will find support options if you are so inclined. As a reminder, there is endless free stuff on the Patreon. There is nothing gated there, but I encourage people to go there if you'd like to watch and listen to our commentaries, currently loaded into August of 2027. So there's going to be a lot for a while that are already preloaded and ready to go. 2 a month, 2027. And we're still going. I had to load 4 this week alone. So yeah, there's lots there.
You know, I
you
feel
don't have to pay for any of
bad
it.
because when we watch movies that I'm really into, I tend to stop talking. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, that's okay.
We watched,
it's not, we never go for that long.
No, I know. We watched one last night that I was getting heavily into, and I was like, oh, geez. I was like, I'm going to blank out here if I don't, like, kind of pull out a little bit, because I was getting so, like, pulled in. And then I worry, because if I don't say anything for a while, you're going to be like, are you still there?
No, at this point, I basically know how to tell. The program can actually clue me into that.
Okay.
But what I've realized is there's generally, 3 types of commentaries. There's the ones that are constant, you know, which is often with like effects people or writers or directors, where they're constantly pointing at every single thing because
they did it.
Their job is technical.
Yeah.
So there is nothing in the movie that they generally don't have some type of input on because there's nothing that they're not doing during those scenes. Then there are the ones that are kind of where there's at least one performer involved, like an actor or
still informative
or something like that. Still informative, but you can have long stretches where nobody says anything because they're kind of, you know, they weren't on the set that day. So they're kind of, and maybe they have nothing to say because it's a car chase. It's just cars with stunt guys, and maybe they don't care. So if one of them isn't talking, the other one maybe. I listened to the one for Return of the Living Dead 3, and that one had gaps like that where there wasn't anything to say except for the gross sexist guy would chime in every so often. And then there's ones which I would call the Escape from New York types, where the 2 people have no fucking give a fuck about the movie and they're just reminiscing about their kids playing hockey. Delightful, but nothing to do with the movie. They're just talking because they haven't been on the phone for a while and they're just catching up. So those are the 3 types. And what seems to happen is many people get annoyed. The most people seem to be annoyed at the reminiscing ones. Now, sometimes it works out, which I would argue John Carpenter and Kurt Russell are delightful to listen to, talking about nothing to do with the movie they're in. That's great. Yeah. But a lot of other ones, people do not like when they're like that because
and I get that because
boring.
you're going there to listen to the movie, and like, I mean, they were talking about other things, And honestly, that's not Escape from New York. That's Big Trouble in Little China. That one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that does happen. So I think the gaps are okay. You know,
there's still some interesting little things in there, but it's mostly the 2 of them. You know, honestly, I think one of the best commentaries I've ever heard is Arnold
Conan.
and the director of Conan.
Of yes,
that one is as good as the movie.
That's a classic. Yeah, that's a very good one. That one is a drunk Arnold and the psychotic director going insane about Valkyries and the making of a film that could not be made again in the same method in any way because times have changed in so many aspects. But along the same pathways, so there is a NPR show called This American Life. You've probably heard of it. Many people probably have. Which I hate with a fiery passion. I think it's one of the worst shows that the outfit has ever produced. I don't like any aspect of it. But, like a broken clock, occasionally there is something interesting that comes out of it. I don't know how much you know about the history of Morse code and the telegraph. Do you know the story behind the origin of the telegraph?
I used to, and if you start talking, it might rekindle my memory, but not at this moment.
Well, Samuel Morse, by many respects, a monstrous man who was pro-slavery and had many other bad takes on things. But one thing that he did that was a contribution to society is spending, I believe it was 30 or 40 years trying to make the telegraph work, which on its own is a technical innovation, of course, and revolutionized communication from the way that it used to be, which was people running around on horses with messages. But I knew that there was a long kind of road to the telegraph, and I understood the importance of it and, how it started the pathway to what you and I are doing now in many ways. But I had no idea of anything about Samuel Morse at all. And I just happened to catch this and it wasn't This American Life. They were interviewing a person who did a podcast about it, and they played it because it was very short, but very, very well done for something that was maybe 6 minutes long, but told you everything you needed to know in that 6 minutes, which is a really, really talented, I cannot remember the name of the show itself, but you can find it if you look like NPR Morse Code podcast, you'll see it. But Samuel Morse originally wanted to be a painter because they started talking about him going and studying art and being an oil painter and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, how does a person go from that to the telegraph? And it's because he was contracted to do a painting for somebody because they liked his paintings. And he traveled, and it was some number of days away. And his wife was pregnant when he left. And while he was there, a messenger showed up and said, hey, your wife is sick. You need to get back home. And it took 6 days for the message to get to him because it was on horseback.
God. Yeah.
And the wife was dead before the guy ever got there, which he didn't know. And when he got back, he was so devastated that he dropped his entire pre-that moment life to make sure that nobody would ever have to wait for an important message again. And that's the origin of the telegraph. And I'm like, you know what? He may have been a piece of shit in many respects, but in terms of dedication to not having somebody else's wife die and they couldn't make it there in time, I give him that. That's a hell of a story. So, yeah, I didn't know anything of that. I really did not. I knew the guy's name. I knew he invented the Morse code and telegraph, and that's all I knew until I heard that. So
it's funny how it's when it becomes personal that sometimes you get these technological innovations.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to somebody about this, not directly related to this, but the idea of the personal thing, because they were talking about, I don't know why everybody's so angry at billionaires. A lot of billionaires donate a lot of money to charities. And I said, okay. I said, here's the thing about that. Anybody whose name that's donating to charity, I suspect their motives. They either just want their name in print, or I said, the thing that they're donating to has a personal connection. That's what most people with a lot of wealth, if you know them and for donating, it's because they've been affected by it. For example, cancer doesn't give a fuck how rich you are. So yeah, Alzheimer's, leukemia, things like that. Yeah, if somebody in their family, and it's often parent or child, most of the time, somebody's great aunt being an alcoholic doesn't generally have a billionaire supporting, AA. It's usually their mother died of alcoholism or their child had some kind of disorder.
Not even like a billionaire, but a lot of actors do that too because Patrick Stewart has been a huge champion for basically like abused women and spousal abuse, and it's because he grew up with that. So it's like no matter where he goes. This was a person who
didn't understand the anger against the rich because they did a lot of good too. And I'm like, okay, man, let's dive into this a little bit of detail. So actors weren't even part of the equation. Yes, in general, there are lots of people who advocate and become activists.
But making it personal is also a good way to motivate yourself. I mean, it's often not. Yeah. Listen, it's often not good because the thing that motivates you may be something terrible, but people are motivated by the things that touch them. I mean, that's kind of how we work. A lot of people have trouble working in abstraction.
Yeah. Well, the negative side is these nutbags who are doing Blood Boy type shit to live forever because they can't imagine dying. That's the bad side of it. As opposed to people who fund research that can actually help anybody with an affliction, not just them.
Well, it's the thing.
So the personal side for some of them is, I want to live forever and stay in control. And the other is, I want to help others.
Make everybody have a decent life. You basically just want you to have the best life. Right. And live as long as possible.
Yeah.
So, anyway. What were you talking about? You were talking about the opening? Were you talking about the opening? Is that what we were talking about?
Well, we were talking about... God, how did we get to that? I knew I wanted to bring up the Morse code thing.
Morse code. You know Morse code, and then we were talking about... you have to work our way backwards. You know Morse code, then you were talking about This American Life, then you were talking about commentaries. Our commentaries. That's what you're talking about.
The bad commentaries and how bad podcasts can occasionally have a good episode. Yeah. Even though, like I said, it wasn't that person. It was...
I think the only reason to listen to commentary like ours is if you or someone... Like, when I was in college and I was doing, like, these 2 master's degrees at the same time. I didn't have television and I was kind of lonely. And at night, when I was sometimes working and I just wanted, like, kind of, like, noise, I used to put on commentaries for movies because I'd hear people talking, and it was, like, kind of, it made me not feel so lonely while I was working on stuff. So, like, the Lord of the Rings commentary, I love the Lord of the Rings commentaries because they usually had, like, 5 or 6 people on them, So, like, I imagine that our podcast, our commentaries function like that because the two of us being fucking idiots. But let me tell you, if you want to hear me have an utter breakdown and laughing my ass off, one of the movies that we're reviewing tonight, keep an eye out for that one.
Which won't be out till 2027, so you'll hear it in 2027.
Is it real? Is it that far out?
Yeah, yes, I just told you. That's the latest ones are all in 2027, and they're midway through.
Because I really had an utter breakdown in the middle of that movie. It was...
well,
I was crying.
And I'm going to say that one thing that you are now starting to, I've noticed that you're starting to get the thing that I've got, which is the kind of sort of the lightweight version of the abused wife movie syndrome, because you are now starting to say things. Well,
I can see ideas that it'd be cool if someone took them and put them in something else. Yeah,
right. And that's the funny part now. Yeah, there is that.
Well, I've always said to you that, there's good ideas all over the place. A lot of stuff has good ideas. It's just that sometimes you watch something and you're like, there's no good ideas here. This is ridiculous.
Well, actually, it's fairly rare.
Art of the train wreck, yeah.
It is fairly rare to watch a movie that has nothing of value.
No redeem. Oh, no. And that's the thing. Everything... Almost everything can have some kind of redeeming quality. I'm trying to think of...
In other words, bad ideas. That's what I meant. More.
No, I know, but I mean like redeeming... But redeeming qualities. Like even Danny Zigg's movie, fucking... was it Veronica, whatever it is?
Danny Ziggs, yeah, Veronica, yeah.
No, he doesn't deserve that name. He made such a bad movie. He's going to be Danny from now on. The artist formerly known as Dan Zig, now known as Danny Zig. The only thing worth watching in that movie is to laugh at the ridiculous French accents in that first section. Otherwise, shut it the fuck off. Yeah. In my opinion. Other people might love it. Who knows?
Sure.
And it's things like that. It's like that is that first part and the laughs that it gives you for its absurdity is like the only thing that redeems any of that. And it doesn't redeem all of it. It redeems a third of it.
Yeah.
But like, we've watched a ton of movies where, we've seen things and you're like, oh man, this movie kind of sucked, but that guy, the lead was really good or something like that, or like little ideas that you pick up. You're like, oh God, it'd be so cool if somebody did that better. Yeah. So no, I get it. It's just, there's some movies that you give a lot of latitude to.
I do. That's true. Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe one day I will be just as bad as you.
Well, no, I doubt it. No, I don't think because I know there are movies you will never make it through that you will have no tolerance for. So, whereas I will. That's fine.
Oh yeah,
It's not. That's
yeah.
not a
Like
bad
I
thing.
don't like. Yeah, I don't like any kind of torture porn stuff like that. No
Well,
interest.
okay. Well, I don't like that
Yeah,
anymore either. I haven't watched anything like that, and
yeah,
on purpose. It's not going to say I haven't
yeah. And
wandered
like
into it at times,
a lot of like
but
stupid shock horror. Like, yeah, I don't need that. Any of that
yeah,
at this point. A lot of modern
no, I
horror
agree.
now is all
I'm with
like
you on
shock
that.
horror. What's that?
Yeah. No, no, I agree. I've
Yeah.
gone very far away from that stuff in general. I'm still coin tossing Street Trash. We'll probably end up watching that because I would be interested in your reaction to that. But there are movies where I know you're not going to watch them, and I wouldn't even
Yeah, because some of
bother
these movies
suggesting them.
Yeah, well, some of these movies I take with me, you know, and like, well, the
Yeah,
one we watched,
yeah.
the one we watched,
There are movies that
yeah,
I do debate because I'm like, this is supposed to be a really powerful movie, but will it be too much? And I don't know.
yeah. I mean, the powerful is almost like it's a double-edged sword,
It
you
is.
know, because
I completely
I
agree.
mean, there's a movie we're reviewing tonight that we watched last night, and that movie went with me. That movie came with me to bed, and
But
it was on my
that's one that
mind.
I like holding on to.
And
That's a good
the
one.
thing is, well, because yeah, but it had a lasting thing. Like I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it today too. Like it was one of those movies that kind of like the ideas from it stay with you. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
not to mention the
yeah.
soundtrack. So
Well,
anyway,
well, yes, yes. But
um,
that's the one you're talking about where there's some gaps in it. But honestly, not. I think sometimes it's easy as we're doing it to overestimate how long we're silent for. Because I've gone back and looked at ones where I've heard you say that. Where you're like, I don't think I talked much. I'm like, you know what? It's not for that long. It's not as long as you think.
yeah, I
It
mean,
feels long when you're watching it,
and
but it's
and
not.
you know what? Some people, and probably some people, want to be able to watch part of the movie and not have us just jabber through all
Yeah,
of it. So
yeah.
we shall see. Do you have any other show notes before we proceed?
Do I have any other show notes? Oh, yes. I am guest hosting, or I don't know what Doug's term for it's going to be, but the next episode of his show, The Process, I will be interviewing him about his new album, which I also did the cover art for. So that's going to be kind of a cross-pollination thing. So I guess there's that. That should be out. Well, normally I'm trying to remember how his is usually. I want to say his are 3 or 4 days after our Friday shows, usually. So I would say within the next week, if you just check. He generally releases one a week, but I believe it's usually within 3-4 days. Allowing, of course, he's an actual instructor who's got class and everything right now. The school year's in, so sometimes I think the date moves a little bit, but there will be if you follow his show, it should be within. I would believe it would be the next new episode after this comes out. It should be out, and so that will be different because it's his show, but I will be on there asking him questions. So I'm trying my hand at slight interview-ness in terms of coming up with questions at a time, which I said to him, I'm like, are these terrible? If so, you can tell me these suck and we can change them. He's like, nope, this is fine. I'm like, all right, at least I can ask interest. Helps that I just did a late night that will be out in November with a musician, so I kind of have that mentality in, which is, of course, Robin Ogden, who does our theme music, our end theme music, and the theme music for late night. That'll be out in November, which was great, and got lucky with the technical problems here. They really didn't destroy the show. And then December, which, I mean, when we get closer, I'll do that one. And then the only other thing is, the date. Hold on, I got to look at a calendar. The date is, I think the 25th is this Saturday. Hold on. Yeah, because, hold on, 20. I'm doing this on my hands. 21, 22, 23, 24. 25th. Saturday, October 25th, I will be on the live Heartbeat Hero Trivia Halloween episode, where I'll be wearing a really, really gaudy shirt, and I am going to be painting my entire face and then trying to make it look like it's cracking like concrete. That's going to be really interesting to see if I can do it correctly. I don't know if I will. And I will probably lose a trivia, as I often do. That will be at 8:30 p.m. Paris time, which is 11:30 a.m. Pacific time, which is 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. And that's as much as I'm going to do because that's as much as I know. So this is a rare case where I can tell you about it ahead of time, and then it will be live. Also, if you are a member of the Club Twit, membership club, I don't know what they Club Twit, whatever. I was on the most recent book club episode where we talked about A Memory of Empire, which is a fascinating book. If you're not a club member, it comes out a month later. So I will try to remind everybody, because I quite enjoyed the naming conventions of that book. That book has some of the best names I've ever read in a book. I'm particularly quite in love with 15 Engine, which, if I was inclined to have children at this point in my life, as I said on that episode, I would probably be getting into an argument to name our child 15 Engine, because it's a very lyrical, stupid name, and I enjoy it.
You said 15 Engine?
15 Engine. There's also 6 Helicopter, 3 Seagrass, 12 Azalea, 19 Adzi, the Edge Shine of the Knife, which is a great nickname.
I wanted to name my son Cienfuegos.
Sure.
Which means 100 fires in Spanish.
Yeah.
And that's a name.
I know the fires part.
That's actually like a name in Cuba. Like, that's a proper Cuban
name. That name in the English would have fit perfectly into this book, because the number is symbolic of something, and then the noun is symbolic of something. And I can't quite remember, because I just became so enraptured with the naming convention, I really didn't care what it meant anymore. But the number, I believe the lower the number, the more noble you are. And then the noun is supposed to have a connection to, I think, some like your spirit animal type of thing.
So the number can change then, because isn't your nobility something that's on a sliding scale?
I think it's one of those things where it's almost like a caste system where you're assigned it. So you're either going to better what you were intended for, or you're destined to be there.
So it kind of means nothing, really. Once you install a caste system.
Yeah, because the emperor is six destination or something, because he's the 6 radiant rays of the sun that, warms the entire planet or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Fun.
And I think that's as much as I have for show notes at this point.
Cool.
Oh, and as a reminder, the entire series of us talking about Alien Earth, that's going to be a special release inside the Patreon, where it's going to be the 2 last weeks of December, meaning Monday through Thursday of the last 2 weeks.
That's not waiting till like 2020 whatever to come out.
No, that one I believe is too delightful. Too delightful. In a season that is supposed to spread joy and happiness, that is probably our most joyous and happy episodes, where we're just gushing about something that we like. So that's far enough out that I'm not worried about spoiling it, because if you want to see it, you have plenty of time. And I'm warning you now, over a month ahead of time, month and a half, 2 months, whatever. And also, it'll have been out for... And at that point, is anything not spoiled within 2 weeks of the last episode coming out anyway? Because every goddamn website will post, here's what we thought about, what does the ending mean? What could they do in season 2? And they just blow all of it. I mean, that's just how it is. And it's almost impossible to avoid anymore. You can, but it's hard.
I don't care about spoilers, so...
Well, I don't either, but what I'm saying is... I don't have the same moratorium on discussing the endings and the details of things is long dead. So, but for those who actually do manage to avoid it, which you can to some degree,
if a major portion of the joy is from the excitement of not knowing, right? Then I don't think you're. Yeah. I don't want to put anyone down, but if that's your max enjoyment, that you don't know what's going on, then take a step back and think about yourself, because I honestly think that it's the journey for me, and I think that no matter I can read a travel log of a place that I'm going, and I could be like, oh, the travel log spoiled it for me. Did you know that Paris has an Eiffel Tower? Son of a bitch. It's that same kind of bullshit. It's like, no, because your experience is unique to you. Your process of watching a movie and what happens in that movie is completely individual to your reactions. And you can be told everything that happens and still have a completely unique experience.
Yeah.
Based on who you are. Not knowing what's going to happen. Honestly, sometimes I almost like to know what's going on, so then I don't have to pay attention to I don't I don't have to get distracted by it. I can just kind of pay attention to everything else that's going on, and how well they tie an ending in, how they have, yeah. So no, listen. If you desperately don't want spoilers, then avoid everything where you would see it.
Well, this is similar to my complaints about people who say you have to see it in a theater. Really? Then why is there VHS? Why is there DVD? Why is there Blu-ray? Why do people rewatch things on television or streaming? Don't tell me something only works in a theater. Nonsense. If you find it best on a giant screen in a theater, that's fine for you, but don't tell me that a movie can't function outside of a theater.
I told you that there are plenty of movies that if they don't function on I'm not saying it's the ideal place, but if they don't function, if they're not still good on a phone screen, then it's a spectacle, and the movie itself is not as good as we think it is.
I agree. That's that's what I'm saying. Is what you're saying is related to what I say about
Usual Suspects is still a good movie on your phone.
Well, of course.
But like a movie like Avatar really breaks down on a cell phone. Let me tell you. And you realize, and the thing is, I like Dances with Wolves, so I do like the movie because it's Dances with Wolves. But I like Dances with Wolves, so it makes sense. But as a spectacle, when you remove the spectacle of that movie, it really slows it down. It becomes a far more middle of the road movie to a lot of people.
Well, that's
part of
and that's
part of what blew people away is
about,
the giant screen, 3D glasses. Oh, it's amazing! But yeah.
This is similar to people who buy everything on 4K, and I'm sitting here going, okay, I don't know that 4K is going to give you much more of
just like
nail
it.
and eye.
No.
Well, no, but it's a collector mentality, and it's like, for me, if there's not a real visual element, which honestly most comedies I don't have on 4K because it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, what's the point?
The comedy of the writing is what matters.
When I think about the movies, that like have most affected me growing up, most of them were on grainy VHS.
Oh, sure, so. but there is, and it's true for me too. That's what we really. There wasn't anything else really. Let's be honest. For a long time, there was nothing but grainy VHS.
I'm trying to think of movies that like The Matrix. I want The Matrix in 4K because there's a lot of interesting graphics in there.
Oh, I know. I just watched The Matrix in 4K with my wife.
Yeah, it's like there's movies that I think lend themselves to wanting that level of detail. But there's movies where you're like,
that's
does
Groundhog's
Day need to be 4K? Does it really?
I completely agree. I'm even borderline on Ghostbusters needing 4K, the original, because the effects don't really require high def.
And we've talked about this, 4K pornography now, where they're like, oh, it's 4K porn. And you're like, I don't want 4K porn.
By the way, you just reminded me of something hysterical.
What's that?
We went out to get pizza with my in-laws. And there's a pizza place that's about 10 minutes from here. And we've been there a bunch of times. And I never really have paid attention to the pictures on the wall.
Yeah.
And it's fairly typical of a lot of eateries, I guess, in general, where there's a lot of kind of like American muscle cars and like some sports stuff, blah, blah. So I think that's kind of the reason I kind of tuned it out. It's like white noise. But I just happened to be sitting there and I was kind of looking around because I don't know why. And I saw this picture and I didn't know what I was looking at first. And then I literally got up to get a good look at it. And in the middle of Shelby Cobras, Corvettes that look like the one from the movie we watched with the giant blower on the front of it, some basketball, like NBA pictures where they're, in the air, dunking, all that stuff. In the middle of all this, near a television playing a football game, which I could not tell you what it was because I couldn't care less. There was a black and white photo of Trinity from The Matrix that was like shoulders up. Just a black and white photo.
Was it signed?
It didn't appear to be.
Oh, okay, because sometimes if an actor goes to a place, they'll put.
Yeah, I thought that too, but there's nothing else like that. So I think
Trinity?
It's just somebody who really loves Trinity, and that's fine. It's not a complaint.
Listen,
it's just
Carrie
in the middle of all of that. It's
Carrie
the only
Moss
black and white one on the wall either. That's the other thing. All the other ones are color. But there's one black and white image of her with the sunglasses on. So it's like an action shot where she's standing there looking cool. But only from, I would say, about the collarbone up. It's just Trinity in black and white.
Interesting.
It's the Trinity picture. I don't know why. I don't care. I was delighted, but I'd never noticed it. And they see of images that otherwise look like they come off of iStock.com.
Yeah.
There was a picture of Trinity in black and white. Only one that was black and white in the whole place. I looked. After that, I'm looking. I'm like, okay, wait. Is there a commonality?
Is there anything else snuck in here? Yeah.
Nothing like that. So I went, somebody really likes Trinity. Fine. Not even a criticism, just a
lot
weird
of people really like Trinity.
No, I know, but to have that and no other,
yeah, and you know what,
Matrix Italia around it.
Ever make another action movie after that? Like, she made the 3 Matrix movies. Well, she made the 4 Matrix movies, but beyond that, did she ever make another action movie?
She did that, what do you call it, Jedi series on Disney Plus, but
Doesn't she die like right in the first 5 minutes?
Yeah, but there's flashbacks with her because that's like the murder mystery is of how she died.
Okay.
So she does appear, but let's take a look. Did she do anything else that would be considered an action film? Well, she was in Red Planet, but I never saw that. Does not appear so. No. Doesn't look like it from what I can tell. No, I don't think Silent Hill Revelation would count. Fido was not an action film. No, I don't.
I mean,
no. Not until she did Matrix Resurrections, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, this is all
she did a movie.
Dramas and thrillers and mysteries.
Nope, that's a political thriller, so no.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, she was in Iron Fist, but she wasn't in an action role.
No.
And same with Daredevil.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, so I don't think so. I think that was it.
Yeah.
I don't think she did. Because she was in Chocolat, and like again,
Yeah.
Memento, not an action movie. Jesus, yeah, I don't think.
No. Well, maybe she felt like she'd done all she needed to in that movie. Could be.
Maybe she did that and she was like, I don't want to do any more of this.
It could be that. Or.
Oh, wow. That's weird. Do you know that Carrie-Anne Moss was in a TV series called Matrix many years before she was in The Matrix?
Yeah, that has nothing to do with The Matrix.
No, it has nothing to do with it. It's just funny.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, she was in Mass Effect.
My wife and I were talking about the director who did the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the Gene Wilder, the only version, let's be honest. That guy was basically a documentary filmmaker and really never did any other films. Did a couple here and there, but nothing that's anything like that.
Oh my God, she was on Forever Night?
Yeah, she was on Forever Night. I didn't know that. Because when we were watching Matrix, I was kind of looking up trivia stuff about the people in it because I was kind of curious. Especially her, because she pops up in weird things. But yeah, I said, maybe that director realized that he's not going to top Willy Wonka, and he's like, I'm just going to go back to TV now. It's fine. I made a movie that I can't do any better than.
Oh,
it's fine.
She's so young. It has so much hair.
Yeah.
It almost didn't even look like her. That's funny.
People age in weird ways.
She's aging great.
Because I feel like she was 45 for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that as a negative. I actually
No.
I'm
like she was just.
It's a good thing. She stayed a certain age in rough appearance for a long time.
Yeah.
Which is great because she looked great at that age.
Well,
I guess because that's what she looks like to me.
Cyndi Lauper still looks good, even though she's like in her 70s.
That's what I'm saying. So that's not meant to be a criticism. It's just there are some people who seem stuck at a certain age for a long time, and then
but that happens with male actors
they start
too.
to age.
Like Harrison Ford was the same age for like
I
50
agree.
years, it feels like.
That's why I said actors, general.
Yeah.
There are some who you see age and they get older. There's ones that stay 20.
Yeah,
like
Sean
Paul
Connery
Rudd,
had two phases.
May never age.
He had the Bond phase, and then he came back with the balding, like white, beard phase.
Then he was Harrison Ford's father.
Yeah, and he looked that way for like fucking forever as well. He was
Daddy
and like
Jones.
And you almost can't put the two of them together because it's so different.
No.
Yeah. So.
Well, who are we looking? Well, we'll be talking about somebody who looks radically different when he's younger than he does when he's older in one of our movies tonight.
Yes.
The movie that stuck with you.
Yeah. But whereas, Ben Kingsley. Ben Kingsley still looks like Ben Kingsley. I mean, maybe a little more wrinkles, but like Ben Kingsley just.
Sure.
I just saw him in was it the Thursday Murder Club, and like he's less mobile, but when you look at him, I mean, Ben Kingsley wasn't really an action star. He always kind of did dramas and thrillers and things like that. So when you look at him, you're like, Ben Kingsley just still kind of looks like Ben Kingsley.
Robert De Niro kind of had that two-phase thing where for a while he looked like young Robert De Niro, and then he looked basically like the same thing he does now, except his hair turned colors. But otherwise, the lines were there. They were just there. The lines just showed up one day and didn't leave. And they didn't seem to multiply. Those same grooves stayed forever.
Yeah, you're right.
Pacino largely looked the same, but aged.
Age is weird. Yeah.
Age is very weird.
Well,
I think that's the end of my preamble. I don't think I have anything else.
I have a brief thing I want to talk about. I don't really want to do the review. I just want to mention it, which is I saw Thunderbolts recently.
Asterisk.
My children, I know. My children are a great avenue for watching movies that I wouldn't normally watch on my own. They have an interest. Like, I'm sure at some point I'll see Tron Ares. Oh, that was the thing I was going to tell you about. I saw this terrible meme with what's his name, Leto, that said it was a picture of him and it said it's Tronin time, and I was like, holy shit, is that a line from the movie? And I'm really glad it's not. It's a reference to an older meme about Jared Leto.
I actually, speaking of Tron Ares memes, I saw a great one based on Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
Where, he says, where he's on the moon, he's like, it's whatever, I'm sitting on the moon and this has happened. It's now it's that of the 3 Trons flopping. He's like, it's 1983 and I'm sitting, Tron has come out, it flops. It's 2004, Tron Legacy has come out and it flops. It's 2025, Tron Ares comes out and it flops.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'll probably see it because my son is interested.
Well, okay. Outside of my disdain for Jared Leto,
no.
From all accounts,
really,
it's a perfectly serviceable film.
The reviews of people that I trust that I've read basically say Leto is empty. The special effects are pretty good, but they're not so good that they blow Legacy out of the water. In fact, the indictment is that Tron Legacy still looks really, really good.
Well, yeah, because it was mostly in the grid. It is baffling that they would want to do anything in the real world after Legacy. Why?
Yeah, the look of
it's so boring.
Yeah.
Unless the modern day of the next Tron film, should there ever be one,
is the future,
looks like the Ghost in the Shell movie.
Yeah, it's the future.
The live action. If it looks like that, where it's actually somewhat competitive, actually the funny part would be the grid looking antiquated when they escape from it. Like somebody's stuck in there and it looks cool, and then they come out and the real world is actually better somehow. That would be a funny inversion. But otherwise, honestly, the real world is going to look terminally boring compared to the grid.
I think that they should let the grid evolve because time is moving. So, the grid should look different.
It did from the first one to Legacy, but now they're stuck in Legacy mode.
Yeah.
Which, okay, but then why wouldn't you stay there?
And Disney has shelved it indefinitely for now. It flopped
as they've done twice before. So, I mean, the people were like, well, now they'll never... What are you talking about? It's been shelved permanently twice. So there was no need for Legacy, and there was no need for Ares, yet they made them.
I read that the action was serviceable, that the special effects were not bad, that the soundtrack was awesome, and that Jared Leto was like an empty character. They don't know why they
here is my honest opinion about this franchise in general. Because people sit there, I've heard people say, I don't know why they even made 2 more. The first one flopped. Why did Disney ever try to bring this back at all?
It's a neat idea.
Well, okay.
I like the first one.
I enjoy the first one. I wouldn't say I like it. It's somewhat boring, but the visuals overcome that.
You know what? Can I take a crack at this and see if I get it before you tell me?
Go ahead.
Because I put this in the context of Blade Runner, right? Blade Runner came out and it was a flop. But then over years and years and years, it had a cult fan base and a lot of people loved that movie. And then someone in Hollywood sat there and said, you know what? People really like this movie now. I wonder if we made a sequel, we couldn't make a ton of money on this.
I somewhat agree. I think there are, at the moment anyway, still influential people within Disney who feel like there is a formula to make Tron blow up. And they're trying to figure it out. And the thing that's sort of puzzling to me...
Which is funny because I loved Legacy. I thought Legacy was wonderful.
That's exactly where I was going, is to me, Legacy should have been that. It was very mainstream friendly. You know, it's a very accessible film.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
But you know what?
Garrett Hedlund was not the best lead, but he certainly wasn't bad.
No,
And
no.
Olivia Wilde looked amazing, and Jeff Bridges is always reliable. So, I mean, with the Daft Punk score, if you couldn't make it land with that,
and I like that Jeff Bridges was the villain, and the
yeah,
jankiness didn't matter because they were in the grid.
yeah, and see, a lot of people try to blame Legacy's failure on the fact that the that Clue looked that the
No, but
de-aging
Clue
didn't
was
look good.
but Clue
Bullshit.
was artificial.
Well, yeah,
like
but they also de-aged him in the beginning, and
oh well,
I don't believe
yeah, but
that's why.
at least they kept that short.
Yeah, and I don't think that's it. I don't think
Yeah.
people can't get past that. This wasn't Polar Express,
No, you know, listen,
where the entire thing was creepy. It was like 5 minutes.
I think that you and I are not capable of knowing anymore what is an accessible movie because you and I are so far off the norm these days. I really think that.
I would
don't
disagree
think
with that. I still understand what's accessible, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I have still been able to pick surefire hits to show my wife where I know she's going to cry because she loves it, and sure enough, she does.
Yeah.
I've had three in a row where I was.
But that's a personality thing. You know her.
Yeah, but these are all. I'll give you 3 accessible movies that anybody,
Yeah.
unless I shouldn't say anybody.
Oh.
There are 3 titles I'm going to give
that.
you that 80% or more of any person I pick off the street will either like or love.
Okay.
Ready?
Go.
Field of Dreams, Shawshank Redemption, and Rudy.
Okay. I disagree with all of
I've
those.
just hit all of it.
I disagree with all those because there is a middle of. You know what? If you're going for margins, right? Like the widest margin, I agree with you that those movies will probably hit the widest margin.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for. Wide
But
band.
it's also the fact that like, I think Field of Dreams, like it's an okay movie. I'm kind of bored, and like Rudy,
Well, that's
you know,
you.
I got
you.
kind of bored with Rudy. What was the third one? I already forgot what the third one was.
Shawshank Redemption.
So, and Shawshank Redemption is a great movie, but you know what? I know a lot of people who think that Shawshank Redemption is either too depressing or too boring, and they don't want to sit through it. And I just think that I don't know if there is a.
Oh, hold on, I'm looking at something. I'm curious.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me check the third one. Yeah, okay. All 3 of those movies
Yeah.
have an over 80% rating on both Rotten Tomatoes
What was the other
and
one?
on IMDb.
There's a movie that came out recently that had like it was like a super high rating on what do you call it? Rotten Tomato.
I don't go by recent movies because you have to
Okay.
let time go by to see
Yeah.
if it persists. Because early on, there's half of those reviews are paid for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't count on anything in the first year anymore.
I don't think I don't think that I know what people will like anymore.
Well, here's another metric. Let's see how much each of those made in
Because
comparison
like
to their budget.
you know,
that's
I
another
went
good
because I
system.
remember I went to see with our friend Snedeker. I went to go see Solaris, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that the remake of Solaris was still very good, and still kind of got at the idea of Solaris and the weirdness of it, and you know, and it's really bold idea.
Sure.
And our friend Snedeker kind of didn't get it. He was like, "The fuck is that about?" And it's like, yeah. I you know, and again, you know, like there's a movie we're reviewing tonight that I watched it and I was crazy about it and I was raving about it and I was talking to my wife this morning actually about the movie, and I remember you telling me that it was a flop, and I was like, yeah, you know what, it makes sense because I think there's a point where if you don't spell it out enough for the audience, we're getting to a point where a lot of people just give up. I think there's a lot of people out there that want it spelled out from. They want too much sugar in their coffee, and if there isn't enough, if there's any subtlety, it just feels bitter. Like Rudy is an overly saccharine movie, right?
It is.
Field of Dreams is an overly sentimental movie about the good old days of baseball when you could beat your wife and no one would give you shit. You know, like, right?
Well, those days are over.
Yeah. Those days are coming back, right? And Shawshank Redemption is. I think that one stands out to me because I don't think it's an overly saccharine movie. If anything, that one feels like it's well balanced. I guess Shawshank Redemption is one of those like fucking honey, like sweet spot movies where it's like it has the right balance of everything and somehow still remains good. You know. So yeah, but when it comes to Tron, which is what we're saying, I think that they, they feel like enough time has passed in its legacy, and they think, oh, people like this movie. They still like this movie. We'll make a sequel and see what happens. You know, and maybe you won't really know the success of it till you see what well, I'm going to say DVD sales, but I mean, streaming sales and I don't know. I don't even know how they make fucking money at this point.
Well, I was going to say that's another thing is I have no idea how they estimate what a success means anymore.
Yeah, because a lot of people
really
don't go to see it. A lot of people don't bother going to theaters anymore because they have streaming.
Yeah.
Why leave the house?
Yeah, right.
You know, and that's why
I'm one of them. Screw it.
When a movie hits streaming early, if I want the movie to make money, I will pay for it. It's happened just a few times where I've been like, oh, you know what? I want to support this movie.
Yeah.
You know, whereas, Jared Leto's a huge red flag for me. When I heard that he was cast in this, I was like, ah, son of a bitch.
I agree.
Like, I mean, listen, cast, what's the other guy they put in everything?
What, Chris Pratt?
No. Oh, but you know what? That's a really good test too. When you say who's that guy they put in everything, and you thought Chris Pratt, and I was thinking Ryan Gosling. Like,
well,
I'd take either of them over.
Interesting actors to contrast, to be honest. Because
I know, but I would take either of those. I mean, I don't think either of them fit the role, but I'd take either of those over fucking Jared Leto.
I agree.
I mean, you know what? What is your ideal casting then? You know, if you've read about this movie, you heard about it, you've seen a trailer, who if you saw in that role that you'd go, ooh, you know what, this might be good?
Well, hold on. How old's Jared Leto? Because I guess we have to.
He's in his 50s.
I mean, he's not young. So
no, he's not. He's one of those. He's got good genetics. I'll give him that.
He's born in 71. He's 53. Yeah, he doesn't look 53. Okay, so somebody in their 50s.
I mean, honestly, if you want to really bomb that movie, you make it a woman. I would love it, but other people would be like, ugh.
You know what?
Yeah.
Henry Cavill.
Oh God.
I was like, who looks really good for his age is in top shape. I'd put Henry Cavill as Ares. I would believe that he could handle that role.
All right, I think Henry Cavill can handle just about any role at this point. So.
Well, you asked. That's who I'd pick.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I like Henry Cavill. I'd watch it.
Henry Cavill is. Oh, geez, a lot younger. God, he's so much younger than Leto. He's 42. So he's 9 years younger. He's almost a decade younger. Well, yeah, there you go. That's how that's a good thought. I was like, who's somebody who looks like he's in, like, fake program, super shape, and I know can handle a role like that. I mean, he played evil Superman.
Easily handle a role like that, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. Henry Cavill would be a good choice for that.
You know who I would almost have put in that role, just for shits and giggles? Fucking Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
You know what?
I don't have any issue with that.
No, and I only say that because when he showed up in the it's a Disney property. When he showed up in the Ahsokatash show,
whatever.
Ahsoka, as Anakin.
Ahsokatash.
I thought he did a good job, and I was like, you know what? It'd be interesting for Disney to be like, hey, let's throw this guy in some other movies and see what happens. Like, because I always thought that him and Garrett Hedlund look a lot alike.
Sure.
You know, that would have been an interesting casting. I would have been fascinated by what they did with that. But either way, yeah. So no doubt I will see it at some point. But the original thing was I saw Thunderbolts, which I put off. I've actually put off a lot of Disney movies or Marvel movies at this point because like I kind of just wait and I actually do want to see the second Black Panther movie with Namor. I'm just never in the mood. You know? Yeah,
sure.
But my kids wanted to see it because as my daughter loves Stranger Things, so she was like, "Hopper's in it." I mean, they don't even know his name. They're just like, "Hopper's in it."
Isn't he Red Dynamo or Crimson Dynamo?
The Red Guardian. Red Guardian.
Oh, he's the Red Guardian. That's right.
He's Red Guardian. So he's in it. And they also the sister of Black Widow's sister, who's Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
She's probably
Florence
one of
Pugh.
Is it Pugh?
Pug.
I always thought it was Pug.
Yes.
Oh, it's Pugh.
Oh,
wow.
God. I just immediately see a pug in her outfit with swords on the back. That's great.
Well,
I appreciate that. Thank you. That's great.
Well, yeah, okay. So Black Widow's sister. She was one of the best parts of Hawkeye for me. and the actress is very funny. She's got good timing. Uh, so when we saw the Black Widow movie, she was one of the best parts of it for like me and my kids. So when we found out that she was doing Thunderbolts, we was like, oh, you know what? This sounds kind of like it might be fun. So I did enjoy parts of it.
Can I ask you a question
Yeah, go
before you
ahead.
get too far into it?
Go ahead.
I had read something that said if they'd only never left the building and it was just them trying to get out for the whole movie, it would have been great. Would you agree
Oh,
with
that
that?
would have been okay. Okay, so in the beginning of this, so the beginning of the movie is basically that what is it? Julie Louise Dreyfus. I can't remember her character's name.
Who cares? Veep.
Yeah,
Veep says.
yes, yeah, Veep. So the Veep is basically she's head of the CIA and she's trying to clean up all her corporate espionage and experimentation, all this shit. And she realizes that she's been running basically kind of bastard heroes. So the old Captain America, the old Taskmaster from the Black Widow movie. Is her name Ghost? I think from the second Ant-Man movie, and then Black Widow's sister. She's been running them all, having them do shit for her. And she gets them all into this facility, and the idea is that they've all been sent there to kill each other, and none of them knows that the whole thing is actually a giant furnace that's going to burn them all to death, right? And when they get down there, I mean, their banter and their bitchery towards each other is quite funny, because I mean, he's U.S. agent now essentially. So U.S. agent is a fucking asshole. I mean, he just is. He is such a self-righteous dick. And Ghost doesn't really give a crap. She just wants to get out of there. But and then Black Widow's sister, she's depressed. She's kind of bummed out. So and then when they bump into the Sentry, who they don't know is the Sentry, so they call Bob. Bob is a funny kind of foil for the bunch of them because they know that he can't be nothing, but he acts like he's nothing. So the bunch of them are good together. Like that group of four is fascinating. But I like parts of this movie, but there's things in this movie I think that they got horribly wrong. And I'm going to use the format that you use with talking about all these movies that we talk about, whereas that there's good things and there's bad things. Is the movie overall good? I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it in such a mismatched way that my kids enjoyed it. Let me put it like that. My kids enjoyed it because they don't have any idea what the source material looks like, right? Which I'll get back to. And there are effects that they use in the movie that are funny, and it's actually quite funny. And they get into the idea of trauma. Now, where the movie breaks down is that they meddle. What do they meddle? They just kind of play with the idea. So you remember in what was it called? Moon Knight. You saw Moon Knight, right? Or have you
No,
not
I never
seen
watched
Moon
the
Knight?
series. No, never saw.
Oh man. So Moon Knight gets quite heavily into the trauma that created his multiple personalities. Right. So at one point he kind of goes into his head, and when he's in his head, it's neat because the different personalities are actually together, and they're going through his memories, and they're experiencing the traumatic events that kind of created this split, which is that his mother had mental issues as well, and she was horribly abusive toward him, and it hurt him, and he is traumatized, and it helps him to find balance between his various personalities. That doesn't mean that they reabsorb. It just means that they are now speaking to each other. There is kind of an internal communication going on, which is why he can switch from personality to personality. They're inhabiting the same space at a balance, right? And that's a beautiful part of the show, where they kind of start going back and forth, and it's well done. They give it time. Whereas in this movie, they get into the trauma late in the movie, and then they don't fully address it. So the Sentry, the Sentry is balanced out by the Void. So when the Sentry power comes the power of the Void, and in this version of the Sentry, when the Void comes and his darkness touches you, you get sucked into essentially like a a room, a cell almost, where you relive, one of your one of your worst memories, one of the things you regret the most, right? And if you try to escape it, you just find yourself crawling through the a history of regrets, right? That is not easy to escape, and most people will just be stuck there. Now, it's weird, but the idea is that you have a bunch of broken heroes who have to face up to who they were. Now that's fascinating, and I think should have had more of the movie. The idea of Captain or U.S. agent coming to terms with how shit he was and trying to be better. Like I want to see all those journeys. Like at least give each of them 5 minutes. But instead, all you get is Black Widow's sister going through a series of her own crap memories. And just a highlight reel, right? And then eventually finding her way to Bob, who's like the inner personality of the Sentry, because they've already got a previous connection from early in the movie, so she's kind of got access, right? But then later, when she's trying to help him get out of this kind of mind prison, the rest of the team manages to get to them because they are connected to her. But we don't see the journey that they take, and I feel like the movie should have given them at least, give them each 5 minutes so we can at least understand the trauma. And the most that you get is a line from Bucky where she's like, "Are you guys okay?" And Bucky's like, "Oh no." He's like, "I have no dark memories in my head at all." He's like, "I'm totally fine." And you're like, "Yeah." I was like, these people just went through some serious shit to get here. And you skipped it. You skipped it completely. Bucky was an assassin and murdered Iron Man's parents. Right? Red Guardian basically had his children taken away by the government, by the Russian government. What was the other guy? Ghost. Ghost was in a chamber because they thought she was going to disintegrate if they couldn't keep her, formed properly. Like there's so much shit they could have gotten into, and they just skipped it, which I felt like they were trying to speedball their way through like trauma. Yeah, so that part bugged me because it felt like you should have done more with that. And honestly, I think this is a shit version of the Sentry. The original Sentry comic, and this is not this movie's fault necessarily. The original version of the Sentry comic, which you did read, right? The original Sentry comic.
Yeah, I read the comic. Yes, I didn't
comic,
see
right.
the
and you can agree
character because I think wasn't he introed in something before?
No.
Anyway,
the Sentry never appeared. Yeah, the Sentry was basically a neat idea for what if there was like a Superman in the Marvel world that no one remembered. And the main guy is, I think he's a comic book artist, and he starts having like kind of psychological issues, and you realize as the comic goes on, and the hints that they show, that he is actually this Superman level hero called the Sentry, and that he was best friends with Mr. Fantastic and the Hulk. He'd been around since the Golden Age, that he was part of the Marvel Universe from the beginning. And that's the way they set the comic up. And they have all these like they drew him in all these different styles so you could see what he looked like in like the Golden Age and the Silver Age, and that he'd always kind of been there, right? And the story was that with the Sentry always comes the Void, which is basically the Sentry is I don't know, they say he was bipolar, but essentially he's mentally ill, and with his supreme power comes his supreme darkness. So whenever the Sentry is active, he has to contain the darkness, the void in himself. And the longer he is active as the Sentry, the stronger the void becomes, until eventually it breaks free. And when it breaks free, bad shit happens. So after the last near, catastrophe, Mr. Fantastic and the Sentry sat down and said, "We can't do this anymore. I am a danger." And so they came up with this idea that everyone would forget the Sentry. Mr. Fantastic set up these devices that would essentially vaporize the idea of the Sentry from everyone's mind, right? Including the Sentry. And in doing so, it would destroy the void, because if there's no Sentry, there's no void. And so they forget. And the Sentry's been living now for years as this other guy. He has no idea who he was. He's just had this normal life, and no one, even Mr. Fantastic, remembers. The only person who remembers the Sentry is the Hulk, because I think they said his brain is just so complicated and simple that it defies the beam that Mr. Fantastic created to like block everyone's memory. And in the comic, of course, the Sentry comes back for a brief time. He feels glorious. Everyone remembers him. And then the Void comes back just as poorly. And they realize, oh shit, we can't have the Void. And it was like kind of a one-shot series. They put him back into they blank his memory. They blank everyone's memory at the end. Everything goes back to normal. And if they had just done one book, which is what it was originally, it would have been a legendary Marvel story. It's just that later on, they couldn't fucking keep themselves from being like, oh, we should use the Sentry again because he's like, he's really powerful and he's like Superman and we should use him. And so they brought him into the normal universe and they basically negated the whole book, which pissed me off. I mean, honestly, it really cheapened the character. And when they brought the Sentry into the Marvel universe, he's a boring character. Within the context of the original Sentry run, it was all very interesting. But when the Sentry joins the normal Marvel universe, and he's basically, and the Void is gone, because I think they got rid of it somehow. He's just Superman. He's extremely powerful. And yeah, I mean, like, so when they did like World War Hulk, Sentry and the Hulk went at it, and I think I can't remember if Sentry beat him. I'm pretty sure Sentry did beat him, and then something happened, and it was like a. But either way, so they couldn't help themselves. And because of that, we have Sentry now in this movie. And the crux of this movie is essentially that the Sentry is created, and he is very powerful, and he also is essentially a very broken person. And so with the great powerful Sentry comes the great powerful darkness of the Void. It's okay. It's not great. I'd be very curious to see how they're going to use it. I mean, essentially, at the end of the movie, they don't get rid. So the Sentry goes back to being Bob at the end, and the idea is that as long as he doesn't become the Sentry, there's no Void. It's when he becomes when he essentially lets his power out, the power can swing both ways, and he can go from the Sentry to the Void. That said, have you seen the effect for how they do the Void?
Yeah, I thought that they'd look good. I saw
it did look good. Like he's all
Yeah.
darkness, and then you can just see the twinkle in his eyes. I actually think that's a really cool effect. So, and that's what I mean by there's things in this movie where you're like, I don't like that, but that's pretty cool. So, like, I don't like the whole way they set up the Sentry, and yet I do like the way the Void looks. I mean, it looks very cool.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of wasted opportunities in this movie. Beyond that, though, the idea of a bunch of burnt out, like, anti-hero type characters who are tired of being fucking like hired gun assassins, and then essentially getting teamed up with Bucky. I like that, and I feel like they could have done more with it, because Bucky has this horrible past and found a way to get back, and so the idea is like, hey guys, if Bucky did it, you guys can do it. So at the end, the idea that they're a team, right? With Bucky, it makes sense because Bucky's still kind of looking for his. I mean, Bucky was never really part of the Avengers. He's kind of looking for his place. And the leader of a reject squad, you know what? It kind of works for him. So, in that respect, I like that part of it. And I was like, oh God, what's his name who plays Bucky? I don't remember. I was like Bucky.
Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian Shaw. Sebastian Stan or Shaw?
Isn't it Sebastian Stan?
I don't know. I'm asking. Either way.
Hold on.
Bucky's always good. That actor's good. He knows the character. And beyond that, oh God, what's Hopper's name? Son of a bitch.
Sebastian Stan. No, I was right.
Hey,
That's
you got it. Good. David Harbour. That's what it is. David Harbour. David Harbour's Red Guardian is honestly one of the funniest.
David Hooper?
Yeah, I know. David Harbour's.
The problem is Hooper is so close to his actual name. It's very easy to make that mistake.
He's really good as the Red Guardian because he so desperately wants to be a superhero, right? I mean, that's what he kind of was when he was in Russia, and like that's what he wants to be. And he's come over it now. I mean, he's defected, so like he's living in. Is he living in L.A.? He's living in New York. That's what he's living near New York, and he has a like a limo service, right? And he desperately wants to be doing anything hero. Like he wants to do like the wet work that Black Widow's sister's doing because it's still something. Like he's just desperate to be a hero. So everyone there, he is the most excited at the possibility of being a famous superhero again, which is completely opposite of everybody else who's like, I'm miserable. I've had a horrible life. I've made a lot of bad decisions. My wife and kid left me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he is the polar opposite that just rubs salt in the wound. And he's good. I like the character. He's fun. He's fun because he makes it horrible for everybody else because he's so excited about it. And again, like I said, these little things that you look at and you're like, this is good, that's not good. You know, overall, I think that it's a. Oh man, I don't want to say it's a weak movie, but it's a you know what? It's an average Marvel movie.
Would you say it's mid-level Marvel?
Is it mid-level? So within the Marvel context, I enjoyed this more than. I don't think it's more clever, but I enjoyed it more than the Ant-Man movies.
Okay.
You know,
I mean I find that's the best way to talk about Marvel movies is to what would you compare it to? What
and
is
the thing
equivalent
is,
to? Because
they are the inept Avengers. I mean, they're not hooked in, and in fact, at one point, what's that?
The Suicide Avengers.
They are the Suicide Avengers, yeah, and they know it too because at one point when they're stuck in that underground base, the sister is like, "Can anybody fly?" And he's like, "Are we all just hit things and shoot things, people?" And they look around and it's like, "No, none of you can fly. None of you can fly. None of you are gods." I was like, "You're the second. You're the B level characters." Honestly, if these guys became the West Coast Avengers, that'd be the best, because that's kind of what they are. And I mean I know that they're going to be in the big group movie, whatever it's going to be, with all the dimensional shit.
Yeah.
But I like the people in it. Oh, and I'll tell you one thing that did genuinely throw me off is I thought Taskmaster was part of the team, right? Because they're on the poster, right? So I was like, oh, Taskmaster, because why not? They blow Taskmaster away within like the first 5 minutes of this movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't the opening Taskmaster dying?
Yeah, so when they all go in to kill each other, they have this four-way fight, which is quite funny, and then Ghost basically shoots Taskmaster in the head point blank, and hits her in the helmet. It goes right through, and she just drops to the floor, and that's it. Taskmaster is dead. And I was like, holy shit! I was like, are you gonna find out that it ricocheted off? I was like, no, she's dead. So I was like, wow. I was like, okay, you know what? That, again, these little things, that actually surprised me because I thought she was in the fucking movie. But
technically she is for 5
yes,
minutes.
she is. She is technically. So, you know what? And it's like a twin review here because it's how I feel about it, but I'm also very fascinated by how my kids feel about it. And the thing is, my kids love the Sentry. They love Bob. They thought Bob was great. They love the dynamic. They love the fact that they're a bunch of fuck-ups. They like the Suicide Avengers. And you know what? I bet you they would love the Suicide Squad movies, or the new one that James Gunn did, right? Like this, we're talking about like things that appeal to us, but doesn't necessarily appeal to like this movie appealed to my kids. They enjoyed the shit out of it. So my kids would probably put this movie. I could see my kids putting this movie at like a B, whereas I'm looking at it going, C plus. Yeah, but I think it's a C plus because they weren't willing to get into the heavy shit that I'm interested in that would have put my kids off. And I think that's the kind of the weird intersection, which is they got as far into this trauma shit that they could while not losing kids. But they got just enough in it that when they kind of started figuring it out, I was sitting there going, that's not how that works. I was like, son of a bitch. I was like, you don't just have a hug and everything's better. So, yeah, I wanted to mention it because it's I do think it's an interesting Marvel movie. It just didn't go far enough. And it does worry me in the idea that I wonder what the hell they're going to do with the Sentry. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Doctor Doom kills the Sentry. That would be honestly be a really great way to start the whole Doctor Doom thing, is if Doctor Doom shows up and just fucking destroys the Sentry, because that would be like, oh, okay, now we know that Doctor Doom is really dangerous. Because, I mean, Bob is kind of a throwaway character anyway, so it's like, okay, well, you know, if you're willing to shoot Taskmaster in the face, you don't really need the Sentry. He's engaging when they get into the weeds of the character, but they don't want to get into the weeds of the character. You know, which is that he grew up in this house where his father was abusive and he beat the mother and he beat him, and he's like, you know, this horribly, he's bipolar and he was a drug addict, and like, I mean, listen, we have a character in a Marvel movie who comes out and says, I was a meth addict. And I was like, wow. I was like, that's different. It's like, I don't think Marvel would let us have a meth hero. So, I know you're not going to see it, and that's fine. It's not amazing. Like I said, I give it a C+. Yeah. But yeah, Sentry. It's a real shame about the Sentry. Sentry is a neat idea for that like short run book, but it falls apart so hard. Marvel does these things. I mean, honestly, comic books in general do these weird things. You know, it's like collapsing the Wildstorm universe into DC, and no one at DC stopped and said, "Hey, these are parody characters of our characters, aren't they?" They're like, "Oh no, it's fine. We can have Midnighter in the same universe with Batman. It's cool." You know, and the Sentry's like that as well. Where it's like, it was so well done. As long as they just let it be. And it goes to that idea that, you know, they can never let anything be in comics. No one dies. You know, I mean, didn't fucking Captain Marvel come back from the dead at some point? Or did they actually hold?
Oh yeah. That? Oh no,
yeah.
No. Captain Marvel came back. They all come back.
Yeah. So.
They all come back.
Yeah.
You know, what's his face came back as the Red Hood. Bucky came back as the Winter Soldier. You know what? You know what? There may be. Hold on. There may be one character who's never come back. Let me look up whether she's ever come back. Did she ever come back? Hold on a minute. Let's see. Yep, that's no.
Yeah.
When. Hold on. Alternate reality. But that's alternate reality. Okay, is she alive? Did she ever actually come back? Nope, that doesn't count. That's a clone. Hold on. It looks like Madeline Pryor is still dead.
She's not dead.
Oh, well then never mind. She came back.
Because
everything I read said it was either clones or alternate realities, but that she herself.
Oh, you know what? Then you know what? Maybe it is the clones. Yeah, they might.
That's what I'm saying. In mainstream continuity.
Yeah, but you know what? If you go by that, though, all the X-Men are dead because they're all clones now. Remember?
Well, yes, but they all came back also from being dead in the norm before all that. They all had come back.
Yeah.
Professor X was dead. He came back with legs.
Yeah, they all come back. Yeah.
Actually, did Cyclops ever die in the original continuity? Did he die? Maybe not Cyclops. I don't think Cyclops died. Wolverine died about 4 million times. Who cares? I don't know if Iceman ever died. The Beast died and came back. Angel.
He died.
Well,
I know. You know what? I think Iceman died as well. I think they've all died.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, certainly Betsy Braddock came back, died and came back as, oh boy, we're gonna have to undo that one. You know.
Oh man, I'm trying to. There's a really
Angel sort of died.
And then, yeah, but
Angel died when his wings got destroyed and came back as Archangel, but I think he's got his wings again now too. So who cares? You know. Yeah.
When Diane Keaton died recently. Where is it? Somebody.
Okay, Diane Keaton did not come back.
And I know that. Oh, jeez. But who's the? Oh God, what's the name of that? Is it? That's not. Who's the guy who was? Oh God, he was in Ocean's 11. The old guy.
Oh man. Oh,
what is his name?
Elliot
Elliot Gould. Elliot Gould.
Gould.
Okay, hold
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Yeah. So Elliot Gould wrote a thing for the Guardian about Diane Keaton dying, and in there he had this line that really stayed with me, and I think uh, I wanna read it to you because he worked with her a ton, and he really liked her, and I want to find. Oh, are you not gonna let me? Oh no, here you go. I found it. I got past the paywall. Okay, so there's a line he says at the end about death, where he says, "All right, here you go. It's a beautiful thing in a way that all of us come and all of us must go." Right? And then he adds that he says, "I didn't expect Diane to go, even though I knew she wasn't well." And it's the idea that you don't. We have to go. We have to make room for what's new. And actually, it's funny that we bring this up because it reminds me of another thought I wanted to share with you about death. But the idea that, so it's a beautiful thing in a way that all of us come and all of us must go. It's like, yeah, part of the point of what makes life so precious is the fact that you only get so much of it. And that when you die, that's it. That's the end of the story for you. That when people in your life go away, that's it. And it makes the moments that you have with them and the moments that they were present so much more important. That's why we shouldn't waste time. And oddly, this made me think about something really weird. Remember we were talking about the elves in Lord of the Rings? And this is a weird thing going from Diane Keaton's death to the Lord of the Rings. But you remember we were talking about Lord of the Rings and when they did the series about how basically like it was like 3,000 years ago. And I was getting annoyed because I'm like, 3,000 years? Why haven't the elves created computers by now, right? I realized something really funny about the elves in Tolkien's universe. They represent stagnation. I never put that together before. But the elves represent a lack of evolution. They're so locked into thinking that the way they do things are right that they make no space for the idea that things should evolve. And the funny part is that I think that Tolkien really liked the elves. He didn't like the idea that humans were becoming industrial. I mean, if anything, Lord of the Rings is an indictment on the industrial age, right? I mean, Saruman has basically created like a production line for weapons for orcs. But then at the end, humans, the elves decide, fuck it, we're going back to the Undying Lands because things don't change there, and humans are left with the world to evolve it the way they are, and in a weird way, humans are the innovative ones because we have so little time. And having so little time is actually what makes the time important to what you do with it. Whereas as elves, where you're going to live for thousands upon thousands of years, you kind of don't give a shit. I mean, you could put stuff off for tomorrow for 100 years and it doesn't matter. Whereas, like, you put things off for a decade and you may never get to do it. You put things off to tomorrow, you may never get to do it. Like, the lack of time is what makes it so potent. And Marvel's never figured that out. The comics have never figured that out. And movies to some degree. They keep bringing people back from the dead. They keep, and like, I don't think we want to be reminded of death, but it's death that reminds you to make the most of the time that you've got. And that's the thing is like, Wolverine, because he's the one who's died a million times. Wolverine's a funny character because he doesn't suffer repercussions like other characters because he can take so much damage and so he can pretty much almost come back from the dead. I mean, you've really got to rip that guy up for his parts. I mean, and he has died and he came back, but as a character, that he doesn't really have consequences. He just keeps surviving. It's the characters in those universes that are or who are almost the weakest within the context. If you read the original run of New Mutants, Cypher, who a lot of people hated, I love that character. I mean, they eventually brought him back and whatever. But in the original New Mutants run, Cypher's ability was language, and it was important. He was very useful when they were like running around alien worlds and dealing with shit. And him and his connection with Warlock, especially when they became Douglock, it was they were the closest members on the team, right? And when he dies, it's this kind of big statement of, yeah, people die. Like, if you aren't geared for this, you guys, I mean, the New Mutants were supposed to be students, and they saw as much action as the fucking X-Men were seeing. And that death, when I was younger and I was reading it, that death hit me really hard. Like when Cypher gets shot, and especially the way he died, where like he catches the shot and he falls down, and the others are still fighting, so they don't realize he's gone down, and by the time they find him, he's dead. Like, it was a really sad death in those comics, and that stayed that way. Luckily, that stayed that way until I was no longer reading New Mutants. And maybe that's the trick, is to hop onto the comic book Marvel DC merry-go-round and get off before they bring all your dead heroes back from the dead and ruin them. Right? Because, I mean, Cypher's back alive now, whatever. But when I was reading New Mutants, and when it was important, that character died, and it meant something. And if you're just going to resurrect everybody, it makes the actions in their lives, the decisions they make, almost less important. It's like playing God mode in Quake, right? Nothing can hurt you, nothing can kill you. How long before you get bored? Depends on your level of sociopathness. You know, if you just want to watch everything die in front of you, that says something about you. But otherwise, there's no challenge. There's no point. You're just there. You know? Hey, thus concludes my... I realized my rant could just go on, so I'll just stop. Because we have other things to talk about.
I don't think you're wrong. That's why I didn't say anything. I never thought about the elf stagnation thing, but it makes complete sense.
Oh, yeah.
It does also kind of... That's why they eventually fade, is because stagnation will eventually just drift off. If nothing changes, you forget about it.
Yeah. I mean, they 3,000 years and they didn't invent, the engine.
A computer. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if it was a weird computer that worked off fucking fairy piss and wood, like...
Fairy piss engine would certainly be interesting to use.
It's fucking V8 works on crushed fairies.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, but they represent stagnation. And when I thought that, it really suddenly changed my point of view of the elves in like all the Lord of the Rings movies, because what like Legolas is special, and I the thing is I was like, why is Legolas the special elf? Why aren't the others around? And I'm like, because Legolas is one of the few elves who seems to be fascinated by progress. He's willing to be friends with a dwarf, and I think honestly, it's because Aragorn was his like gateway drug, right? He was friends with Aragorn, who was half elf. And that made it so that he was more likely to be friends with non-elven folk.
Yeah.
Right? But, like, his father is an asshole, right? Because that's the guy who shows up in The Hobbit. And his father's like, don't be friends with these people.
He became man-curious. And that led to everything else.
He became man-curious, yeah. And, I mean, he still leaves. Yeah, he still leaves. They all leave at the end. And then maybe they need to, because if you've got the old ways around to solve it for you, no one's going to create, an engine or a computer or an iPod, What would be fascinating is if the elves came back after like 1,000 years for whatever reason. Maybe the Undying Lands weren't that great, and you could come back, and they come back to Middle Earth, and Middle Earth is like just advanced massively in like 1,000 years. Because think about it, right? 1,000 years of human progress, right? Think of our own history, right? From the year 1900 to 2000, or even go back, go from like, we'll go back to 1600 to 1700. There were still huge advancements, right? But let's fuck with that. Let's speed it up. Let's say they go from 1700s England to like 1900 England, right? And the elves come back, right? Could you imagine what a fascinating sort of like political cultural commentary would be for the elves with their old ways that never change, with their sword and sorcery, to return to a world where it's like, cable cars. You talk about like, was it the Morse code? How would those two cultures appreciate each other? And would it just be a humongous problem?
I think you're describing the Federalist Society.
What's that?
I said, I think you just described the Federalist Society.
What do you mean?
Sorry, I took it into modern politics.
Oh, well.
People who want to go back to the 30s and 40s and 50s.
Yeah, I know. But that's the thing is the elves don't know any better. Like they are stagnation.
My metaphor holds.
It holds up.
As I said.
Yeah, and listen, in this respect, people, we have to come and we have to go because we have to.
You just described the good old days.
We have to make room for the future.
You would think.
Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some people disagree.
Well, you know what? If you disagree, if you think the elves don't represent stagnation, I mean, listen, they're very sweet, they're very nice, and they have lovely cities. But I mean, there's no progress with elves. They stay the same, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm not contesting anything you're saying. That's like my
I'm just not
assent.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where the dwarves fit in. Is my only issue with that because if humans have to embrace progress and the elves represent stagnation, what are the dwarves?
Short-sightedness.
You think that's what it is? Is it short-sighted?
Oh, immediate gratification. Yeah. I mean, they're about getting more and more. They're the greed.
I mean, by the time
in many ways,
by the time the Lord of the Rings movies happen, it sounds like their kingdoms are very much on retreat, because a lot of the places they go are long since dead.
Well, you mean the dwarves, right?
Yeah, the dwarves. Yeah.
Well, that's because I mean, to me, the dwarves always were kind of the industrial age in Tolkien's thing. Now, granted, I am not a Tolkien scholar, but the way I've heard them described as miners, and it's like, okay, these are fossil fuel people.
I'd almost love to talk to a Tolkien scholar now about this. I wonder if it's an idea that's out there, that the elves representing stagnation.
I grant you use of the late night platform if you find a Tolkien scholar. I have zero interest, so I can't do it. Because I can't because I would not have the ability to talk to that person with any competency.
Honestly, this is getting heavily into like English literature analysis and criticism.
Yeah, which I am nowhere.
Okay, hold on.
Nowhere.
So, in J.R.R. Tolkien's Legendarium, the elves represent a deep sense of world weariness and cultural stagnation caused by their immortality. There you go. Their fate is to last while the world lasts, causing them to become unwilling to face change and obsessively focused on preserving the past. This contrasts sharply with the mortal race of men whose limited lifespan drives them towards progression. Yeah, so there you go. Other people have thought about it. It never occurred to me. Like, it actually, when you have an original idea and then you realize, oh no, other people have independently come to this conclusion as well. And you're like, oh, good. I'm not alone. Yeah. Did the 3 elven rings cause stagnation in Middle Earth? There you go. It's out there. Good. And you know what? If we had immortality in our universe, it would cause the same problem. Like if fucking crazy billionaires could make themselves immortal, it would enslave the human race. Like, you want to get science fiction here for a little bit? If the rich never lose their money and the game is always rigged towards them, then that's it. We're enslaved. We're enslaved to immortal tech overlords. Right? I mean, death is the equalizer.
Sure.
And if death is no longer the equalizer, I mean, for fuck's sake, you didn't watch the Rings of Power series at all, did you?
Nope.
All right, the humans fucking hate the elves. Like, that's the way they set them up. The humans are not fond of them, and they don't like.
I never got the idea they really ever were.
Yeah, it's not so bad in Lord of the Rings, but in Rings of Power, they really.
Lord of the Rings, men aren't around. They bypass so much of it, but I never got the feeling that men always, as is true in real life, are distrustful of anything that is different from them. That was always my baseline: is men just distrust anybody who's not men.
Yeah.
Especially
it's why they distrust. It's why they distrust lesbians so much, because it's not men.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying.
So
yeah.
Anyway, yes, I didn't even mean to bring that up, but the Diane Keaton thing, the death thing reminded me of that. So I think it's an interesting. Honestly, that's probably the most interesting thing for me right now about Tolkien's books. And I wonder if Tolkien knew That's the other thing. Sometimes writers do things. I mean, like we aren't completely aware of the cultural phenomenon that we create sometimes in our heads, right? And anyone who creates art, you're not in complete control of what you're processing. You don't necessarily know because there's a lot of stuff that's going on that you might not even be aware of. You know, so I do wonder if Tolkien knew that the elves represented stagnation, or he loved them because he preferred stagnation, and he himself was a stagnant person, which is why the elves are kind of, you know, lionized to some degree. I mean, he wrote the Silmarillion, which was, you know, he really liked those fucking elves. It's weird to think of Tolkien as
I don't have enough knowledge to contribute, so I'll be honest. To this, I have nothing to say because I don't know. I don't know enough about Tolkien as a person.
You know
I don't know enough about his works. I know nothing.
If there's any Tolkien nerds who want to comment, please, I'd be curious.
Feel free. I will pass any emails along with almost no understanding of whatever you're writing. Refer to whatever you want. It'll all go over my head.
Oh, but you're clever. You're logical. You can understand it.
I'm not saying I literally will not. It will not literally be incomprehensible, but the reference points will completely fly over me. In the same way that I could go on for 30 minutes about the Green Lanterns, the different ones, why some are good and some are bad. Similarly, I will have no idea in the inverse of what you're talking about with Tolkien's works because I literally have read maybe 15 pages of The Lord of the Rings and said no.
Let's stop. And just think about it within the context of the Lord of the Rings movies. Those 3 movies, right? Of which there's a lot of content.
Sure.
When you look at the elves in those movies, how do you perceive them?
Yes. Of course. No. My surface level interpretation is that Tolkien had no idea that they would represent stagnation because as the movies portray them, they seem to be the great nobility, the connection to nature and immortality and spirituality that none of the other races seem to have. They have the Shadowlands or whatever they call them. They've lived forever. They understand the deficiencies of others. They are the gods of this realm. I mean, as the movie presents it, what are the things that are above the wizards, the Alcaneers or whatever?
I think it's like the engineer or something like that, isn't it?
Whatever the gods of the wizards are not mentioned in the movies.
No, they aren't.
In any way other than maybe passing.
Yeah. And the wizards, and they don't really mention the fact that Gandalf is not human. I mean, other than the fact that he comes back, the movies very much gloss over the fact that Gandalf is not human in any way, sense, or shape.
As far as the movie presents it, unless you know better, which I do from just looking at Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Galadriel and him are on equal terms in my reading of it. I mean, they seem to be equal power.
I think that Gandalf is more powerful than her.
Well, okay, you can think that, but the movie doesn't specifically come out and say, "Hey, the wizards, they're top tier."
Yeah, but they respect each other.
Well, yeah, I'm putting all aside. I'm saying as far as you know, you remember the old Marvel cards where you flip it around, they have power levels on the back, right? Okay. Yes. As far as the movies ever show us, Galadriel and Gandalf would have the same meters on the power.
Oh, here you go. I'm just curious. I looked it up because I was curious what the name is. So Gandalf is a Maya, which is a lesser god, whereas Galadriel is only an elf.
Right, but
though she is one of the most powerful elves in Middle Earth.
Sure,
so
but you never see something where
as a lesser god.
You don't see Gandalf go up to Galadriel and yell at her and suddenly become 4 times her size, and she's like, "You're right, sorry." They seem to be rather on the same level. As far as the movies, I'm not getting into the books or any of the lore. Fuck all that. I'm talking about, you said, what did the movies show us, right?
No, but hold on. You know what? I think you're right, though, because Gandalf's power was restricted in his human form, which is why he often appeared less powerful than he was. In contrast, Galadriel could use her ring to shield her realm, a power usually reserved for beings like the Maya. So it sounds like when Gandalf was in human form, he was less powerful than Galadriel. So you are correct.
So based on that, the elves seem to be at the highest.
It's like arguing the Bible, isn't it?
Well, it is, but
because there's so much.
Asking me as far as how are the elves.
But as far as the movies
go, the way the movies would position them is they are the great elder gods of Middle Earth, and they're all they come off as better than. They're all dressed in white and shimmery colors. They have all the magic gifts. They have all the wisdom. They have all of the everything. You feel like
Elrond.
You can't win without the elves.
The Elrond is the one elf who cared, and he got burned by humans.
Right. So
he's disillusioned
based
by
on
them.
that, yeah.
It changes those movies. I want to watch them again now because the idea of the elves of stagnation really changes my perspective on it. Because, like, you love when you're younger and you watch, Lord of the Rings and you think, oh, fucking elves are awesome. Like fucking Legolas is like fucking Superman. I mean, like, the shit that he pulls, right?
Well, but the elves in general, basically the way the movie shows them is they are fading into history.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, progress leaves those who are unwilling to look at it behind. You are left behind by progress and change. That's it.
And they choose to leave rather than change.
Right. So they fade into obscurity.
Yeah, except for the few who are willing to embrace this new age. And like, for example, what's her name?
But they're outliers. Far as
Liv Tyler
larger
is almost like kind of. They think
but
she's crazy
doesn't she become mortal by staying?
No. The whole thing with her is that her father's like, you're going to stay and you're going to marry him, and he's going to die, and you're going to still be alive, and all these people are going to be dying around you. That's the whole idea.
Oh, so when she says, "I choose a mortal life," that's just words.
She chooses to be with him in his mortal life. Yeah, but no, she's not mortal. Yeah. I mean, I'll look it up, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
What's her name? Her name's what?
I forgot her name.
It's like a lager.
Her Gerbergers. It's Klaatu Vrata.
Yeah, Hergerberger says she'll become mortal with Abaddon or whatever the fuck his name is.
Son of Dink Dong. Yeah.
Oh
no! Here you go. No. You know what? I am incorrect because it's like a fucking Bible. Aragorn's wife, Arwen. Yeah, you're right. It's like Arwen.
Hey,
becomes mortal after choosing to marry him and forsaking her immortality as a half elf. She embraces the gift of men, which means she will eventually die. Oh, the gift of men is...
She's going to embrace the gift of men.
The gift of men is to die. Her mortal life... what? Her mortal life is a long one, however, lasting over 100 years after her marriage, and she eventually dies of grief after Aragorn passes away. There you go.
Oh, I was going to say, I would assume as a half-elf, Aragorn would have lived to a similar age.
Yeah,
but maybe he dies 3 years earlier.
Yeah, but Aragorn was super old already. Because isn't that in the
wasn't Arwen also super old till she became mortal?
She was older than him.
What is her mortality number set at? Because she looks about 20, but she's 400 or whatever. So do you choose the number?
Oh, here you go. So Aragorn was 87 years old when he first met Frodo Baggins in Lord of the Rings.
Okay, well then he's a cradle robber because Arwen looks like she's 22.
He would die at the age of 210 years old.
Wow, not bad.
Yeah. Well, let's see how old Arwen was. How old was...
Probably not much further. If she died of grief, I would say within 10 years.
No, I'm saying in Lord of the Rings. How old is she?
Oh.
Okay, hold on. Cradle robbing, hold on. Arwen was 2,778 years old.
I'm kidding. Of course, that was the joke.
I mean, if anything, she
looks young, but she's not.
She was with an infant by her standards.
Yes. So what age, how old was she when she died?
Let's see.
Because I am curious how far after Aragorn died she died. Was it
she married
2 months,
Aragorn? So she married Aragorn when she was 2007. No, it doesn't say. Hold on. How old was she when she died?
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it should be just 100 years beyond that, right? What's that? Oh, she was 2,901 when she died. Which is a year after.
2,200 when she married him.
She was 2,787 or something like that.
Oh, so it was a year after. Wow. All right. Good for her.
They were married for 122 years. Holy shit. That's going to be some interesting dynamics toward the end.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, she died of heartbreak 1 year later. Yeah, there you go.
Which in Elven terms is basically like 2 days.
She gave up. Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, it is. Right? Because that sounds like a long time, but it's really not. Not in elf time.
Not really, no.
Not on the Elven watch.
But I mean, that must be weird too to live so long. I mean, and you just watch people. I mean, maybe that's why they didn't think much of the humans, because they looked and they're like, you guys are around for such short periods of time. What can you really do?
Yeah. The arrogance in contrast to the actual lifespan.
Yeah, and then and that's why it's fascinating, the idea of them coming back and seeing like like coming back during the Victorian age of progress, and the elves being like, "What the fuck is this?"
Right.
Okay, we've played for long enough. I know that we have things to do.
Are you ready to move?
But I
into
do,
the, movie
but I
segment?
do like I do enjoy these thought experiments.
Sure.
I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do want to watch. I mean, it changes the movies for me to see them in that way, and what they represent, and what different people represent at that point. You know, like because in that respect, I mean, the hobbits represent hope, right? If the elves are stagnation, are the hobbits hope, or are they gluttony? Are they hope and gluttony? I don't know. Because most hobbits are content to just sit
Blissful
and...
ignorance.
Yes, yeah. I'm thinking that because the problem is I keep thinking about the outliers, and the thing is, if you think of
Stoners, man, they're fucking stoners. Tuned in and dropped out, baby.
yeah.
Yeah, they're the Cherry Garcias of fucking Middle Earth.
They do like to drink.
And smoke pot.
And smoke a lot of the halflings
Pipe
weed.
weed.
Is that what they call it?
Whatever they call it. Yeah, sure.
Weed.
Whatever it is. Yeah, that's it.
So anyway,
They're
like I
big
said,
on the weed.
if anyone has a point of view on it, I'd love to hear it.
Sure.
You know, and it's sad that there isn't a way to get more of that mythology into the movies without having it be really boring. But maybe this is that whole thing that,
Or 18 hours long.
I know. Most people don't want to know that Gandalf isn't human because they like the idea of Gandalf
I
is
agree.
just like friendly, warm,
If it had all
drinking.
the lore, it would bomb. People would just not connect with it.
It would be too much.
They want Merlin, not a Maya.
That's true. That is very
Merlin's
true.
not Maya's. Merlin's not Maya's. There'd be goddamn picket signs. Don't Maya my Merlin.
Don't Maya my Merlin. Weird things to pick it about. So, movies?
Just give me the essence of the thing, the juice, you know.
You shut the fuck up!
Thanks for killing my mom.
Yeah, no problem.
See, white girls bore me.
You can eat shit and die, Colonel.
Hey, you want a beer?
Or do you want to smoke some pot?
Or we can have premarital sex.
We love premarital sex.
Oh man. You know what?
Unintentionally.
Yeah. Now that I have the belief system that Jason Voorhees is attracted to hatefully attracted to sexual energy, it makes those movies make so much more sense to me now.
Oh yeah.
Like I think he could just zero in on it. It's like a bat.
Sure.
He's got like radar where it's like somebody's getting a hard
That's what
on.
we've been shown.
I have to kill them. We love
So
premarital sex. Yeah.
I've come to realize I have some kind of spidey sense about these types of movies that I don't really mean to do these things, and yet they work out. Not intentionally. We're going to be talking about 4 movies, each of the pairs that is a perfect comparison point to the other movie. That was not planned.
No, it wasn't.
In the first case, they're both movies with flaws and clever ideas, and neither movie executes them flawlessly. And in the second comparison, they're both movies that look like one thing, but in fact are not anything like that when you actually watch them. That was not planned either. It's just maybe somewhere in the recesses of these neurons, that is why I picked them. Because I did choose these in order. I think except for maybe... Did Howling 2 come up on the wheel? Or did I pick that one?
Howling 2 came up on the wheel.
Yeah, so that was the only one that was randomized.
And then your response to Howling 2 was Wolfen.
Wolfen. I had to. I needed something the opposite.
Oh,
But
you know what?
let's
No, there was another movie that came up in the middle, but we're not covering it this week. That's what it is.
Oh, yeah. But the movies we're talking about tonight, only one of them was randomized on the wheel.
Yeah.
And yet they are great pairings, the two sets. But let's start off with the Jason films, neither of which you had seen in their entirety, right? You've never seen
Yeah,
these
so
movies
I watched the Friday the 13th movies early on. I think I probably saw the first like 5 of them. And then to a certain point, I lost interest because, it's always the same thing. Voorhees, someone who is Jason Voorhees or is trying to act like Jason Voorhees kills a bunch of people who are having sex in the woods. and then eventually they catch them, and a lot of people die, and honestly, the formula was spent to death, right? Yeah. So, and I think I don't think I saw any of New Blood, but I did see parts of Jason X. I'd never seen Jason X all the way through.
Okay. So I'd never seen, because the two movies we're talking about are Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. It's a long title. And Jason X. Now, Jason X I've seen, this was probably my 7th or 8th viewing of that movie. But I'd never actually watched Friday the 13th Part 7. Like Jason X for you, I'd seen clips of it. I knew what it was, but I never actually watched it because...
Yeah, and New Blood is a weird entry.
It's odd I haven't watched it sooner because
and when you read about it, well, the idea is interesting, but the more you read about it, the weirder it gets, because the preamble of this is that the producer really wanted to make like an upscale Friday the 13th movie that would attract like a lot of like upscale attention. Like, you know, there was jokes around that like she wanted an Oscar or some shit.
Most noteworthy part about that factoid being that the mountain of blow the producer was going through didn't kill them in one day, because the idea that horror movies do not get Oscars even when they're made exceptionally well. They barely ever even get considered a standard horror film. The idea that Friday the 13th at Part 7 would somehow crack the code?
Yeah, and
that's like Tron Ares thinking.
They wanted the script to be based off of Jaws. Did you know that? It was supposed to be that somebody was coming in and they were going to like build property around like Crystal Lake, and then like, you know, you weren't going to see Jason Voorhees for like half the movie.
Even though that makes no sense again in the context of what a Friday the 13th film is.
Yeah, and let's be very clear. Friday the 13th in general doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense that a guy who only walks always catches up with you, that he's either really loud or he can fucking sneak up on you like a lamb.
Well, okay, I mean, all right.
But that is the fun.
Just a little history, because there is a logic that thinking, this producer's thinking, could have worked in if it had been Part 6, and I'll explain. The first 4, well, 4 is stupid, but the first 3, the first one, Jason's not actually the killer; it's his mother. So okay, you got to pass on that one because Jason's not actually in it. You think it is because that's the myth of him, but it's not him.
Yeah,
he only pops up in the stinger at the end. In 2, he has somehow survived, and he's got a bag on his head. And so there is an element of surprise where people might not believe that there is a lumbering killer. Okay. 3 is where your disbelief starts to get really strained, because at this point, he's now an established serial killer. And except for the fact that he's got a hockey mask and looks awesome, this doesn't make any sense. 4 makes even less sense because, again, this is not an unknown quantity now. How has Jason not been eliminated? They don't ever say he's supernatural. He just keeps coming back. Wisely, 5 try to do something different where it's not Jason. There's nothing to do with Jason except that the person's imitating him. It's a different serial killer, which is interesting. Problem is, that's an awful film. Almost unwatchable except for the great East Coast accents, New York and New Jersey scattered accents, which are Frankenhooker level fantastic at times. Otherwise, piece of junk. So after that, because that guy gets killed and it's over. That's it.
Yeah.
Part 5's done. It's a one and done. Now, you could come to 6 and make it that, okay, Jason is now, because what 6 does is 6 makes him supernatural. You've now done away with any of the trappings of normality.
And that's a smart thing to do with the character. Make him into a supernatural.
And 6 is a fun movie. But that's the movie you can do this with, where everybody's like, well, Jason's dead, the imitator's dead, so it can't be him, and you don't know what's going on. There's something, and you're not really sure for a lot of the movie, and then suddenly it is, oh no, Jason is alive. He is the shark. But they'd already done 6. He had already come back as Super Zombie Muscle Man, who could not be stopped.
And gotten chained to the bottom of the lake.
Yeah. So how did you think you would get an Oscar contention movie, again, out of a film where you've restarted it already?
And because of this, the producer disagreed with the director on elements of the movie. So the director wanted to make a really fun Friday the 13th movie that had lots of fucking nudity, which typically you get in these, and then lots of gory, over-the-top special effects murder scenes, right? what then happened was the producer cut all of this down and made, I mean, I know it's not PG-13, but holy shit, it's close, I swear. I mean, it's not, because there are still a few little scenes that get through. But I mean, you know the scene, there's a scene later in this movie where Jason shows up with one of those like chainsaws at the end of a long stick for cutting branches, right? And he comes at the guy and he like stabs him in the stomach, and then it cuts away, which is what this movie fucking does. Every time you're about to get a good kill, they fucking turn away. What the director filmed was that basically Jason stabs him in the stomach, the guy falls down, and then Jason basically cuts the guy in half with the chainsaw, and then, you know, the guy's upper half is almost like trying to get away, right? Except all that footage was destroyed. It was cut from the movie and it was destroyed. And you get brief glimpses of it. Like there's a really wonderful scene where a girl is swimming in the lake and she's naked, and there's these really weird shots where you're like, holy crap, you're like under her and Jason's coming up almost like Jaws to grab her, and you're like, holy crap, like they're not, like, that's more nude. That's almost the entire nudity of the movie right there, right? I mean, with the occasional breast, which is weird because these movies are known for being, you know, nudie murder fests, and the nudie murder fest part of that has been neutered. So when we were watching it, I mean, at first, I don't think you even realized that they were just going to keep turning away, and then they just kept doing it. And finally, you're at a point where you're like, oh shit, really? And the first 2/3 of this movie are neutered, and they become very frustrating to me. They're setting up the last third of the movie, and that's fine. But it could have been a really, really fun movie if the director had just been allowed to do what he wanted to do, which is make a good Friday the 13th movie. And instead, he was neutered by this producer who had, you know, this misguided sense of greatness as to what they were going to achieve. And then when you finally get to the last third, that's when things get different and interesting. But again, you had to pass through a Friday the 13th movie that had all the best parts of a Friday the 13th movie, like, blunted out. Maybe you disagree. I don't know.
No, this movie is highly frustrating. Now, I will say that one of the things I've said many times, and I'll say it again here, is if you're going to fail in a movie, fail early and have a great ending act, which this movie does. Once the psychic shit starts to go crazy, the movie picks way up. Like everything with that gets better and better and better.
And that's the last third. The last third is the psychic fight. Yeah, and when Jason realizes that he's fighting a psychic, he's so frustrated. It
and
almost
that's where the
becomes
movie.
Funny.
It is, because you can visibly, without any, because Jason doesn't speak. He does not utter a word.
No.
So everything in his performance is body language, and this is Kane
shoulders.
Hodder, who's
It's his shoulders and the one eye.
Yeah, his shoulders and one eye, and you can see that he keeps not knowing why he can't just get close to this girl.
Yeah,
because
he's so frustrated.
And it makes sense, because in every other movie, nobody gets away, no matter how fast or slow they're running. He will eventually catch them and do whatever he wants. So he's finally come up 7 movies in, at the end of the 7th movie, to somebody who he cannot do this to, even though she looks like any other victim. She doesn't appear, she's not in a Jean Grey outfit, you know what I mean? She doesn't look like a superhero.
She looks like prey.
She looks like a very distraught young woman, which she is, who just happens to be Jean Grey. And that's the thing, is he keeps getting angrier. Because at a point there's like frustration and confusion. And then it seems that once his mask comes off, then he's just pissed. Because it's like, okay, she squeezed his mask off and now he's just angry. And that's one of the things that, again, no other movie does this. Because when you get to what he looks like in part 8, when his mask is off, it is embarrassingly bad. Like, the makeup effects are, if you look it up and see it in motion, people have called it worse than the Jim Henson puppet.
Is that the Manhattan one on the ship?
Yeah, okay. It's bad. When his mask is off, it is one of the worst special effects as far as a mask head move. It's awful. It's awful. especially following this, where there's a lot of emotion and articulation in the makeup. So he looks and is acting angry in a way that we've never seen, because normally when you see Jason's face in the other movies, you see it very shortly before he dies, and it's mostly just to show that he's deformed. You don't really get much out of him. In this, he spends a good 5 to 10 minutes with the mask off, looking pissed.
And apparently the director wanted more of that, and the producer desperately wanted less.
Yeah, and I think that in any other movie, I would side with the producer, except that the makeup effects are so good, and Kane Hodder's performance without talking is so good, that you are sold on the idea of Jason. This is the most you ever see of Jason doing anything with his face, really. And it's very good. And so the end of the movie is really, it is by far miles better than anything that came before it. I would argue that you could do a fan edit cutting this movie down to 40 minutes, and it would be the best Jason movie you'd had. Period.
Yeah, the problem is...
where you just cut all the boring shit and just do it to that.
Is that up to this point, people liked the Friday the 13th movies because there was an absurdity of sex, nudity, and gruesome murder.
And that's true.
And this movie is missing a lot of that.
It is, but my argument to jump over that is, if you don't have that, you have to shorten the scenes then, because...
Well, yeah, if it's a short Jason movie, then yes, you make it much better in that respect.
Yeah, then it doesn't matter as much. What makes it worse when you don't have nudity or gore, or both, is a lot of these scenes are not all that interesting. It's dummies wandering around, ignoring giant red glaring warning signs.
I mean, yeah.
Tina, the psychic, Tina gets a pass because she is emotionally a train wreck.
Yeah.
So there's things that she's having all these issues. She's being manipulated and abused by her therapist. There's any number of reasons why Tina is not seeing what's going on, and you can let that slide.
Yeah.
So it's okay. But the rest of the people are either just alpha mean girls or dumb. And so either you'd better show some skin, or they better have their heads blow up scanner style to not make you care about the fact that they're so fucking dumb. And the movie doesn't do any of that. So the only way you get around that is shorten it way down.
It becomes so frustrating because every time they build up to it, he goes to do the thing, and then the camera's like, quick, cut away. Or in one focus, there's a decapitated head, and they literally soft focus it. So you're like, oh, I think it's a head.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think at one point you said you felt like we were watching the network television edit.
Yeah. So if anybody's out there, do Friday the 13th Part 7, the new edit, and cut out half of the first 2/3 of the movie and just have the rapid fire kills, because I think if you do like MTV style editing with the rapid fire, I think you'd notice it less, plus it would be less boring. And then just leave the last third in. Just leave the opening where she kills her father in its entirety, chop up everything up until the point where she goes crazy, and then leave it.
And that's the other weird bit. So at the end of the movie, Jason's going for the psychic girl, and she basically raises her dead father. Now, this is where her father died, so she raises her dead father from the spot, right? And my only issue with this scene is that the father comes back perfectly fine. He looks the way he looked when he died, which makes no fucking sense. Now, it makes sense if he is, in fact, a hallucination of her psychic will, right? That's the only way it makes sense. But even the director apparently wanted there to be a withered skeletal creature, and the producer hated it and wanted the guy. So this is a weird push and pull movie, it's like, and I mean, we mentioned Blade Runner once before, you can mention it again. Blade Runner in the theatrical cut, how they tacked on that stupid ending. You're like, wait a minute, how can the whole world be miserable and terrible, and suddenly you guys are driving through beautiful green hills at the end? Makes no fucking sense. Where did you go? So,
that is what frustrates me, is because when you get to that last third, it picks up so massively.
No, it's good. The last third,
you get retroactively pissed off about the first 2/3.
No, you know what? I was pissed when we were watching it. You can hear me getting annoyed because they just kept cutting away.
No, I agree. But what I mean is, it gets worse when you realize, this movie actually had the ability to be better.
It had a cool thing.
It's not that it just sucks the whole way through.
It could have been the kind of peak Friday the 13th movie where
it could have been the best one.
It could have been the best one. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
Maintaining
I think the idea of a psychic versus Jason is awesome.
Yeah.
And the last third points out that, yes, it is awesome.
It would be awesome.
It would be.
You just have to get through the whole movie being neutered up to that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is highly uneven and frustrating.
Yeah.
So then we went from that to Jason X. Jason X is a goofy, stupid movie that takes the dumbest idea that sounds like a joke, and this was pre everybody going to space. And this movie was embraced the idea. They were also doing it because they needed to get around the fact that they were going to make Freddy versus Jason, and they didn't want to mess with the continuity, so they put it in the far future, which was the best decision they could have made. And so Jason now, his regenerative ability, which is almost too comical for me to say with a straight face, but it's great. So we get Dr. David Cronenberg. I don't know what his doctor's name was. It doesn't matter. He's Dr. David Cronenberg. Is part of a group of military researchers who wants to know why Jason can keep coming back for the military applications. Now that premise...
Listen, it's not a bad idea, that part.
It's a great idea. It's a magnificent premise to go into a stupid movie with.
Yeah, they just threw that away right away, though.
Well, I mean, it's almost just to acknowledge up front that, hey, everybody, this movie's not going to be serious. Let's just get that out of the way, because all the other ones, even in their absurdity, like Psychic War, it was still treating the movie seriously. It wasn't a joke. Yeah. This movie just goes full sci-fi Lex TV series joke.
I realized something about this movie after the fact.
Yeah.
Is that this movie, I don't think it's a good Jason movie. And it's not that I didn't enjoy it, but I don't think it's a good Jason movie for one reason, right? I think a good Friday the 13th movie is a movie that depends on Jason Voorhees, right? And I realized that with Jason X, this is a sci-fi movie. This is a weird, made-for-TV sci-fi movie. That is a lot of fun, right? That I feel like the Jason Voorhees idea fit into it. But I wouldn't be surprised if this movie had been written already for something else. And they were like, hey, you know that space movie idea you got with all the people dying on the ship? And they're like, yeah. They're like, you think you can make that a Friday the 13th movie? And they were like, yeah, you know what? I probably could. And it's not bad. It's just that I think that the movie, it's still a silly, fun, space chaos movie, whether it's Jason or not. Like, if it wasn't Jason, if it was some creature that they brought up from old Earth, right? I mean, think of it this way. If it wasn't Jason and it was the Relic from the movie Relic, right? Would you still have pandemonium on a ship?
Sure.
Right? If it wasn't Jason, if it was Michael Myers, pandemonium on the ship?
Oh, yeah, of course.
There you go. So in that respect, I think it's weak as far as being a Friday the 13th movie, but being a fun horror sci-fi movie, it is a fun sci-fi horror movie. I just feel like the sci-fi is big, and then Friday the 13th is very lowercase.
I will partially disagree in
By all
that
means.
I think that the thing that saves the movie from being what you're talking about, completely interchangeable, is the fact that everything but Jason is goofy. Jason, self-contained, is acting exactly as a Friday the 13th Jason.
He's the straight man to the joke. He's like, I'm going to kill everybody. All these people want to have sex. I have to kill them.
And that's what makes it, to me, very funny. And it makes it amusing. So when all these things around him, which are very of their era, silly sci-fi channel bullshit, are happening, Jason
Lex.
in
It's
no
very
way...
Lex.
It's very Lex. I said that right at the beginning. I'm like, hey, this is Lex. That it is the fact that he is still that he is written and performed as if this is just Camp Crystal Lake. It just happens to be space. That's what saves it and makes it different. And that's why I really like it, is because there's no part of him that you could not, to kind of go the opposite of your point, You could take Jason's actions in this and put them into a camp and nothing changes. It's everything around him that's absurd. But he's not reacting to it the way, like with the psychic, where he's like, what the fuck is happening? He doesn't bother with that here. He's just like, okay, I'm back alive.
No, and the
It's
thing
time
is,
start killing young
to be
people.
clear, I don't think they have anything as powerful as the psychic in this.
No, they have an
In
android.
fact, actually, that's
and
not
the
true,
android
because
doesn't do much.
no, because the android, they do have the warbot, and the warbot kicks his ass when he's normal. It's when he becomes supercharged, Jason, that the warbot is no longer of any use.
Well, the warbot
Whereas-
is the first person in 10 movies
Yeah.
to understand that maybe you just need to annihilate his face.
Oh yeah, his
Just
face,
blow
his legs.
his fucking brain up,
Yeah.
and you'll be all right. And that does appear to work.
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, I suppose he would eventually regenerate his brain, I guess. I mean, there's no reason to think he wouldn't. It's not like we've ever been told the brain is critical. He's not necessarily a zombie. But if you blow his brain up and then you burn his body to ash and then blow it into space where it scatters, can each piece of him regenerate? Now, there's
It'll
a
be a
concept you
while.
could explore.
I think it'll be a while. Yeah.
If each piece of him lands on a planet, does each one spawn a new Jason for that planet? That'd be interesting. You know, that would be a hell of a thing. Now, I don't think so. I think the idea would be that would actually kill him. But the thing is that most people looking at the poster and knowing that, oh, Jason becomes Uber Jason, which is what the character is called once he becomes metal.
Oh, is that what they call him, Uber Jason?
Is Uber Jason. That's a very small amount of the movie. And what's
It is.
ironic is once
Oh, yeah.
he becomes Uber Jason, he doesn't kill anybody. There are no deaths by him once he transforms.
No, there's not that many of them left, and they're all fucking running. Well, he does.
Right.
No, he does kill somebody. He kills the guy in the tunnel. Well, the guy blows it up before he can kill him.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
no, he
you're
blows
right.
himself up.
Yeah, you get a lot of desperate sacrifice at that point.
For what the trailer kept featuring him as the metal form, so I think a lot of people thought that was going to be most of the movie. It's not.
Yeah.
It's the very end, and then he basically doesn't do anything. So the irony is, in regenerating, he accomplished less. He was more effective as just a bulky, ugly zombie.
Well, that's
than
because
when
they
he
really didn't
became
know.
Metal Man.
Once they realized what they were dealing with, you know, and they I mean, that's the thing is the first half of the movie is the fact that nobody understands what the hell they're dealing with.
Yes.
And honestly, these movies wouldn't happen if you didn't have a bunch of fucking idiots. I mean, that's the
correct.
other part of this. Like, there is a high idiot factor.
I think overall, what I would say is if you're our age and you have a soft spot for the Sci-Fi Channel of the 2000s era stuff, you will probably get way more out of this than if you just go in cold and watch it. You might not really get part of what makes the movie, to me, a lot of fun, which is this, oh my God, this feels like it should have been almost a dream episode of Farscape type of thing. Like something goofy and dumb.
Yeah,
Like,
we brought a
Crichton
monster
takes
on the
drugs,
ship.
Yeah, and remembers a movie that he watched in the theaters before he went into the shuttle. Like the day before, he went to see Jason because it was the only new movie, and he wanted to see one more movie in case the shuttle blew up. And that's what he saw, and so he psychedelically recreates a version of Jason that makes no goddamn sense because he's on drugs. Like, I could see this being that, where Crichton, I mean, obviously they wouldn't say Jason Voorhees, but they could have substituted something.
Yeah.
Or, you know, this is Harvey is like, there's a Halloween episode, and Harvey's like, I'll dress up as something spooky, and, you know, blah, 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 blah. Like that, this feels like it could have been an offcut or an unlicensed sci-fi, you know, series proposal pilot that they didn't pick up. That's what it feels like. So
Yeah.
you have to, I think a lot of the enjoyment I get out of it is because I grew up watching a lot of that stuff. And a lot of it is a lot stupider than this movie is, but I still love it. I mean, Lex is by no means top tier cinema.
But
and
that's what I
think
mean.
it's great.
It is a dumb but fun
Yes.
sci-fi movie. I saw movies like this that did not have Jason in them, where creature gets picked up somewhere, a creature gets on the ship somehow, and you have basically creature feature on a ship.
And in
Right?
fairness, Asylum is still making those movies now. It's just not sci-fi anymore. It's Asylum's making
Yeah.
it now. They make this shit.
Yeah, but you
But
still have
the fact
creature
that-
feature on a ship.
But the fact that Jason plays it straight is I think what puts if he had started acting like he knew what was going on or it was meta or whatever, it falls
No,
apart.
they didn't
Can't
mess
have
with
it.
him. He's still just
No.
I'm here to kill.
They left
I'm
him the
gonna
same
kill.
way.
I'm going to kill that person, and I'm going to kill this person, and kill. Yeah.
And again, it is Kane Hodder again, who has a really good way of physically acting as Jason. He was the best one that ever wore the Jason suit.
He doesn't blink. I read that feature that apparently he said that if you can see Jason's eye, he made sure he never blinked when you could see the eye.
Yeah.
The eye was always just open.
Yeah, he just has it in, and he has a physical way of playing the character where it very much conveys threat even when he's standing still. Like he understood what made the character work and played him very, very well. And so I think that's what makes the movie memorable. Is it a good movie? Hard argument to make that one. Does it have flaws?
You know what?
You pointed out that while it has more on-screen kills than Seven, some of them are really fucking lazy.
It has
very lazy.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is that it doesn't have the kills are more graphic and they're more ridiculous at times, right? So it's got that going for it. And it doesn't have as many kills, but at least you actually get to see. I mean, when they put that one guy on the fucking drill bit and he slowly spins down.
The corkscrew.
I mean, like that's some
that and the woman getting her
movie.
face shattered. Those are the two best.
Oh yeah, when he puts her in the
By
ice.
far.
Yeah, I mean, there's some creative special effects shit. The special effects guys had some fun. They aren't cutting away, and there isn't as much nudity, but you get to see an android's breast with no nipples, which is very hilarious. That's a funny part of the movie. Very quick, but very funny. So no, I thought that it was a very fun movie. Is it a good movie? No, it's a bad sci-fi movie. But if you like those, like, you know, that kind of bad B sci-fi movies, like I grew up on these. So to me, yeah, outside of being a Jason movie, I enjoy it as a sci-fi, you know, bad sci-fi space creature feature movie. You know?
And for me, additionally, the fact that this is the 10th movie and it's as good as it is should have its own kind of category. I cannot think of another 10th entry that maintains this level of quality.
How many
in
Fast
terms
and
of
Furious are
being
there?
10 movies? What's that?
How many Fast and the Furious are there? Are there 9? Are there
10, there's going to be 10, I think. I think the next one is 10, or maybe
Are
the
they
10th one
making?
was
Are
the
they going
last
to make
one.
another?
I think so. Yeah, I think there's 2 more coming out.
Oh
I
shit!
think it's a 2-parter. Fast and Furious. I believe they're supposed to be, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let's see. Fast X was the one that I believe goes to space.
Okay, so there you go. That I think that's the only franchise that's had kind of like a direct 10 rows of movies. Because I mean, Marvel, you could argue has lots, but they switch around from different characters. So it's connected, but it's not, you know, one to the other. So no, it's impressive. It's impressive that they kept going, and that people keep watching them. You know, we watched
this was as entertaining as it was. That's the other thing. I'm kind of like, man, I got to grade this a bit on a curve, because how many series go to 10 movies and the 10th one is actually, I've watched it 8 times. How many part 10s have I watched 8 times? None, but this one. So
part 10.
Yeah, I don't want to oversell it. It's not going to make you go, holy shit, this is masterpiece theater. No, but for
it's not going to win an Oscar.
For the 10th movie that puts him in space, it's a pretty fun movie. But I also say that, like you, as somebody who grew up in an era where this was kind of a lot of what we were really having fun with. I don't know if a younger viewer who likes science fiction and or horror movies would get the same thrill out of it. That's hard for me to say.
You have to know, you have to know that it's a sci-fi B movie. You have to have some experience with those for it to really sink in, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. You have to be into the B movie side, the kind of B tier sci-fi stuff, and then this might be a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun, and it does have funny moments. And the way he throws the girl away after he breaks her face is just beautiful.
Oh,
acting.
you know what? Your favorite one of your favorite shots in New Blood, where he throws the girl out the window.
Yeah.
Do you know that was apparently a pickup shot? That basically they had a whole other kill for her, and it didn't. I don't guess it didn't work, and they had to bring them back. And so to do it quick, he threw her out the window.
Well, the other thing is, even as much as I like that, there is a much better version of it in one of the earlier films, and I can't remember if it's 4 or 5, where he throws a woman who hits a car and bounces off it. And well, here, you know what? I'll send it to you. It is so much far superior, but, you know, it's still fun in this one, but I can't not think of the better one, because that one it's a little over. I think they take a little too. It's at 17 minutes if it doesn't jump to that. I don't know if the links go to the timestamp. But the problem with that scene is, unlike in 7, they spend a lot of time setting it up when you know what's going to eventually happen. You're kind of like, okay, let's get to it. If it was about a minute shorter, it would be a lot better. But once he actually tosses her, it's a magnificent scene, because the way they composited the shot of him throwing her is great, number one. But then she bounces off the fucking car, and it makes more sense that she's dead compared to 7, where she just hits the ground and it was from like the second floor. She probably would have been alive, just a lot of broken bones. Still, I do enjoy people getting thrown by Jason. I will admit that's something that I enjoy, whether they're in a sleeping bag or just thrown from a window. Entertaining.
Oh my God,
well
the stunt person on that
right?
one.
See what I mean? That's
Holy
a lot better.
Shit.
Yeah. But I kind of thought of that scene when it happened in 7. I'm like, okay, he threw somebody. I'm fine with this.
Oh, and then she hit him with the television.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna stop now.
Yes, because that's all the best kills, which you could watch that and you get the best of the movies anyway. But so I would recommend both movies. I think 7 has a really clever idea, because at this point, once you've jettisoned any of the normality, why not start messing with, okay, what if a psychic fights Jason?
You know,
it's sort of weird that in 8 they go away from that. They go back to just kind of normal in 8, and it becomes very boring. Plus the makeup is not good. Strange.
I enjoyed the first one. I enjoyed the psychic part. But for me, growing up with the Friday the 13th movies, the fact that they neutered the first half of it is so frustrating, because you're like,
oh, it is.
Oh, now we're going to have the gratuitous nudity and murder. Nope, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Oh, how we're going to have it now? Nope, no, you're not. And you get the sense
you're going to have one scene of it. One scene where you think, oh, okay, they're finally come to their senses. They've got this completely nude woman in the water, and you're seeing all of it. So I guess they must have figured it out. Like, no, that's it. That's all you're going to get.
No, I think it's the only one. I think it's the only one they were allowed.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's fucking crazy.
And here's the thing. Do you need nudity to have a good Friday the 13th movie? I don't know. But you know what? I grew up with that. I grew up with nudity and gratuitous, ridiculous murder.
I'm going to argue that if you're going to just do the same thing over and over and over, then you better give me one or the other or both. Because otherwise, I'm bored of something I've seen a million times. That's why the psychic part is interesting. I hadn't seen it before.
Yeah.
But people just wandering around the woods being stupid. I've seen this for fucking 6 movies.
Oh my God, I'm scared. I'm going to run to the woods in the dark. What's that noise?
Yeah. Like, no, then I better see skin or guts. Give me something. I need to see something inventive. You can have a nude woman whose breasts blow up, and I'll be like, okay, fine. You know, I have to have something that changes up the formula.
Yeah.
And if I don't have that, there's just morons wandering the woods. And I'm sorry, but there's 2 million fucking horror movies that do that. So I argue you do need nudity and or gore in a Friday the 13th Part 7 until the psychic shows up. If the psychic and him had been going back and forth throughout the forest and in houses and in the lake the whole movie,
you know what?
All right, then I don't need the rest.
Listen, if the whole movie had been her thwarting him killing other people,
yes,
that would have been interesting.
Yes, if she had started fighting him halfway through,
yeah,
a lot of these problems become less noticeable. But they save it for the very end, which it's good, but it's so far in that you're. Most people probably stopped watching it, and that's a shame. Because once you get to the end and she is fucking electrocuting him, squeezing his head, throwing him through stairs, blowing the fucking house up, that stuff's all excellent. But that's an hour into a 90-minute movie. You know, where you've barely seen any real murders happening, and they've all been, as you said, very neutered. You basically set the goddamn movie up to fail. Right? I mean, that's like saying that you're going to show somebody a ballerina and then putting a piece of rope when she comes forward on the first step and hits her face. Come on. Don't do that. Nonsense.
And in that respect, Jason X was better.
Jason X was more consistent in what it was doing.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you that between the two, if I were to pick one I'd want to watch, if I can only watch one of them again, it would be 7. Because I like the end of 7 a lot better.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
It's close.
Because I like bad sci-fi movies. So I think for me, Jason X gives me something extra that the first one doesn't give me.
And it's kind of a back and forth, but I really like the end of 7. Whereas X doesn't do much with the metal form of him. So if I'm looking at how the movies resolve, which the end is the part you typically remember most, the end of 7 is more interesting to me and does, I think, more with the clever idea than 10. But honestly, it's a coin flip. I think they're a great pairing as far as imperfect movies with interesting ideas.
They are a good pairing in that their failures are so different, as is their successes.
Yes. But each of them was trying to do something out of the, okay, we can't just make another one.
How do we keep this going? How do we keep this going?
Yes.
Yeah.
And in that way, I think they both have interesting ideas that they do not fully execute correctly. So you can't go wrong with either one if that's what you're in the mood for.
I was not bored to death. I was amused. They were
I didn't hate either of them. I was just disappointed. I wasn't angry with either one. I was just disappointed in different ways. Correct.
I wasn't disappointed with Jason X, though. That's the thing. I was never disappointed. I knew what it was, and it did that.
I
think that's why Jason X wins for me, because I was never disappointed.
It's an interesting thing to consider, because I did notice this time in a way that I haven't before. I think because we just come off 7, I in my head had magnified some of the deaths that were very ordinary. And I did notice this time more that once he becomes Uber Jason, they don't really do anything with it except make him look cool, which is nice.
Yeah, no, I think the whole idea is, I think really they beat him, and then this is the stinger, and that they're trying to get away from him. Yeah. But again, I wouldn't
sci-fi movie. Say either movie's bad, but I guess I think the psychic girl interests me more now that I've watched them close to each other. And that's the part that kind of fascinates me. And it's a shame that they didn't bring her back for another movie. They ditched her too. So, I mean, in that way, at least Jason X didn't.
And you know what? That universe has psychics. So they should have brought some kind of different psychic in at some point.
Well, in 8, there is a girl with a psychic connection to Jason, but it's very, very weak. They don't do anything with it. She just kind of knows that he was an abused kid, but that's as much as happens. They don't do anything with it, so it's not really even worth. It's a shadow of what they did in 7. 7 is, okay, this is a cool new idea to fight Jason because no human can take him on, so we have to have another superhuman. Let's have it be fucking Psylocke or whatever.
Oh God, you know what? They really should have done a crossover between Unbreakable and Friday the 13th.
Sure, yeah. They both don't like water. One doesn't like being stuck at the bottom, and the other one gets weak when you hit him with it. So them fighting in a lake would be something. And then we went to Howling 2... ... Your sister is a werewolf.
Okay, so I didn't know that was the subtitle. So when we were actually watching it, and that came up as the subtitle of the movie, I was like, holy shit, what are we in for?
That is,
and I want to
say,
say,
is your first big reaction on the commentary.
I need to say up front, I had more fun watching Howling 2 than I have had almost fun. Not as in it's a good movie, but fun. I had more fun watching this movie than I think almost any movie I have seen in a long time.
I did say in my short review,
it's not good.
Said I think you laughed harder at this than any other movie we watched together.
Oh my God. Sure. I was crying in the middle. I mean, there's a point in the middle where they start cutting between these different sequences that we'll get into. And I could not keep it together. My wife heard me. She was like, that must have been a really funny movie. And I was like, it was, but not for the right reasons. This is truly the epitome of so bad it's good. You don't rarely see that. But this is so bad that it's fucking hilarious. I mean,
I
oh
agree.
God,
Yeah.
the direction that these people were given, and when you read about this movie, the tale of woe that somehow informs this movie, that when they asked for werewolf costumes, the studio sent them basically like reject Planet of the Apes costumes, that they then had to figure out a way to finagle. The fact that the original writer of Howling 2 was working on a script for Howling 2, and they kept changing locations, and then he realized he was going to miss his deadline for his book that he was working on, so he left, and they brought in a different writer, and that writer was like, hold on, I'll solve this really easy for you, and he brought a script about vampires that he had written, brought it over, switched it to werewolves, fucking poorly. And that was the script for the movie. And the thing is, if you know it, like, it's a terrible werewolf movie because it's not actually a werewolf movie. It's a vampire movie that they just laid weird semi-werewolf shit over. But the directorial choices are so strange and so awkward, and the way they cut things, and the fact that they really did seem to fucking lose their minds at one point in this movie. And like, we're not going to talk about the credit sequence yet, but we'll get there. And that is like the cherry on top of this fucking like absolute train wreck of a movie. That is, I mean, it is one of the funniest things I have seen in a long time. I can't communicate that enough. That like, I think anybody who likes bad movies should watch Howling 2. It's very rare that I give like a rave review or like, no, everyone should see this. Like, I think my wife's sense of humor is a little too straight laced for this, so I don't think she will laugh. But like, I would show this to any of my friends beyond that. You know, if you I
would be afraid my wife would have a goddamn epileptic fit watching some of this movie because of the cutting. It is so manic.
Because of the what?
At the point where you started losing control of yourself and laughing is this part where they are cutting between scenes.
Oh my God.
So rapidly and with no narrative cohesion whatsoever.
Oh God.
Yeah. It is very hard to express properly how psychotic watching this movie is.
I mean, I fell apart.
No.
And I didn't think I was going to recover. And I don't think I did. I think that I was able to speak, but I laughed through the rest of the movie. But there was seriously a point in the middle of this where they were going back and forth. And we might as well, I mean, listen. The werewolves in this movie are very weird. And they basically have three forms. They're either in like human vampire form, because they all dress like they're fucking vampires, right? Or they're in full wolf form, which basically makes them look like rejects from the Planet of the Apes. Or they're in, I'm going to call it half wolf form, where they cover them with excessive amounts of body hair that matches kind of like their head hair. So there's a blonde woman, and she's got like a blonde perm, and she's got like a blonde perm body hair, wolf body, right? And you can still see like the nudity underneath, but there's hair all over. And they decided to have like a three-way sex sequence between two women and a man in this fur getup. But the director told them to act. I don't even know what the fuck he told them. He was like, act like you're wolves, act like you're dogs, and like, you know, snarl at each other and like kind of like nip at each other, like act like animals. And their performance is so, I mean, it's just, I can't give it words, the level of absurdity. Like, it just makes no sense. Like, you're watching it and you're like, how did these people do this with a straight face? How did any of them do this? You know, and I think we read at one point that Christopher Lee, who's in this, who is the straight man in this movie, by the way. Christopher Lee is like, he's the Jason Voorhees in this movie, right? He knows what movie he's in, and he's not going to let it get the better of him. And he does his scenes, and he's very serious. But then the level of like weird shit around him makes it like, I mean, it makes it even funnier. It's like Leslie Nielsen in Airplane, right? Where everything's all fucking crazy, but he's still the straight man. You know, that is Christopher Lee in this. And what's funny is his acting is still so good that it makes everyone's acting seem even worse. And by the way, that guy, the Denim King, who you were like, this guy's acting is terrible. Do you know that
Red Brown.
right before he made this movie, he won an award for his acting?
No, for what?
He did. Look it up. He won an award right before this movie. Oh. Man. It is a...
What fucking movie could this man have?
Yeah, he won an award.
For?
I think he played a war vet, I think.
His performance was critically acclaimed for Death of a Soldier.
There you go. Critically acclaimed.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, then what the hell happened to him?
I read that, and then I just thought of us. I mean, like, every time he shoots a gun, he, like, yells. So he's like, bang! Ah! Ah! Ah!
Oh,
like,
this is the same director. Interesting.
No.
Yes, Philip Mora, same guy. Reb in a serious role.
How did he make a good movie and then make this?
Those who only know him from his more meatheady roles should see his fine performance here. He still does his trademark scream. Oh, well. I mean, you know what? I maybe I'll watch some of this to see if he's any good in it, because I just can't imagine. Everything I've ever seen him in, he's at best forgettable. And that's at best.
But the thing is, it's not just his fault, because it's the decisions made in this movie are so fucking weird. You know, like at one point.
No, it's not. It's not just him. No. This is
the two lead characters at one point have a sex sequence that comes out of nowhere, because I didn't understand that they were together. I thought they would both been friends with a woman who died. I didn't realize that they were even remotely together. And then the way it comes on is so fast, where she sits there and she's like, "Oh my God, hold me! I need you now!" And then like they just go at it hard. Like he's fucking her against the wall, legs wrapped around, and like it gets hardcore very quickly. And then it never does that again, except the wolves, who at one point, the one wolf guy is like, I think he's so overwhelmed that he keeps kind of like almost turning to full wolf because he just wants to fuck. And then she keeps whipping him to like keep him under control. I mean, the movie goes so off the rails in the final act. I mean, it goes off the rails at all time. They have a theme song they use for the whole movie that's basically like the howling song that a punk band did. And by the end of the movie, Joe's like, you know what? I think this song's growing on me. But you read that they filmed this basically in like communist Yugoslavia. And when they did that punk scene in the club, right? They had to ask for permission, and they basically put an open call for all these punks to show up, right? And something like 250 punk rockers showed up, and it was one of the only punk rock shows that they'd ever had. And it was like an accident, and the military showed up, and the director had to explain to them. He's like, no. He's like, this is a movie. So we're doing a movie, and we have this scene. That's it. And they allowed it. They filmed the scene, and they had the big punk rock sequence, to which the punk rockers were absolutely overjoyed because they'd never had like a concert like that wasn't massively underground. And then they were allowed to leave 3 at a time, right? And apparently a large number of them then collected at the hotel where the director was to cheer him when he showed up, because they'd never had a punk rock show like that before in communist Yugoslavia. Right? It's Yugoslavia, right?
I believe so. Yes, I think.
Yeah. Because in the movie, they go to Transylvania. They go to Transylvania where the werewolf queen is, because really, it's fucking vampires. Oh my God, this movie was so horrible, so bad, but so funny. I mean, oh God, I don't even know how to explain it. Every decision, the midget with the Morning Star, you know, a dick knife himself, who for a short period of this movie steals the show until his eyes explode out of his head. And that's the other thing, is every now and then you get like a good special effects and you're like, whoa, like this movie's not good, but that was pretty good right there. You know, things like that. And then who's the woman? Sybil Danning, is that her name?
Sybil Danning, yeah.
We have to talk about the titty sequence because it is important to the nature of this movie.
So a little bit of background. Sybil Danning is very well known as a voluptuous woman who often did movies where she is either partially or fully nude. She had done a whole bunch of them before this movie. And one of the things that she was stipulating for the movie was that she was only going to do one nude scene because she was tired of just doing nude scenes.
And the sequences where she's having werewolf sex, she's covered in that weird body hair, so they aren't quite nude scenes.
Right. Yeah. And so there's one scene where she basically, and I think they filmed it all at the same time, where she's basically the other two werewolves are having sex and she's becoming aroused or angry or who the hell knows what the motivation is, and she starts kind of tearing her clothes off. And
she just rips it right off, and her boobs
she
just
rips her
out.
top off. It's one scene in the movie. That's the only
it's
time
aggressive.
that
She aggressively just tears it off, and there's her chest. Yeah.
It's the only time that she is hairlessly nude in the whole movie.
Yeah.
And it's very, very, clear. And then the movie goes on, it ends, and then they're playing the Howling 2 theme, which is a great song. I did really start to like it. And then as they're playing it, they're doing scenes from the movie to kind of go along with the song, and they punctuate
it is like a weird music video.
It is a music video, and I believe the number I read was 17 times they repeat that scene.
They
characters in the movie...
They time it to the drums.
They time it to the drums, and then characters are reacting as if they're amazed at her breasts.
Yes.
It is... I think I said in the commentary...
And apparently the director did not...
I don't think I've ever seen credits like that in my life.
The director didn't know they were going to do that, by the way.
Oh, and really? So that was the editors who did that?
The editor, it was I think it was the producers and the editors who did it.
Oh, boy.
And Sybil Danning was none too pleased because they had taken her one nude sequence and turned it into like the entire credits.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
Oh, God.
The movie is a train wreck. As you said, it is the epitome of so bad it's good. Again, you laughed harder at this than anything else we've watched, including comedies or things that were comedic. This is...
No, because
it is impossible for me to frame what this movie is to anybody.
The editing cuts are so weird and sudden.
The fact that it is so clearly a fucking vampire movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, she's got a staff with a fucking vampire monster on it. They're all wearing black
they're
leather.
Big into blood. There's garlic.
Garlic and holy water. By the way, when the vampire hunters show up the werewolf hunters, when they show up, right, one of the guys in the crew literally has a cup with holy water. That's his only fucking weapon. Yeah. And apparently the cup full of holy water is supposed to work on these quote unquote
it's the Holy Grail. Doesn't he have the cup of Christ? That's
yes,
the Holy Grail.
That's what it sounds like, yeah. But the problem is once he uses it, that's it, and they fucking kill him.
Yeah. I mean, it is a spectacular movie, and I'm using the word literally, in that it is a spectacle to experience this movie and try to wrap your head around how it could possibly have been made like this, because it is one of those I've talked about before, not in a while though, I will admit, and certainly nothing on this level, about movies where every decision made was the wrong decision. And outside of, and even this was a bad decision in context, the smartest thing this movie did was get Christopher Lee on board, because Christopher Lee is very good. The problem is they put him next to Reb Brown, who is very bad. And
he didn't like
when
them.
Reb Brown is attempting to do anything and Christopher Lee is anywhere in his goddamn vicinity, even if he's not speaking, you can almost feel the waves of talent being impacted upon the rock of Reb Brown and washing it away. It's nuts. The two leads are not good in either of them. I have not seen much of Annie McEnroe's career. She pops up in Beetlejuice, as you pointed out.
Yeah, she's the realtor in Beetlejuice. So that was a funny connection.
Which is, she might have 4 lines in the whole
Yeah.
movie. She shows up at the beginning a couple times. That's it.
Yeah.
Barely does anything. Red Brown, I've seen a lot of things, and it's pretty bad most of the time. He's just not. He's not capable of it. That's all it is. And again, that might not be so bad if all he was surrounded by was, because really, Sybil Danning's not given much to do. There's a lot of overacting, I'm sure intentionally. There's nobody else really doing great work, I would say. But then you have Christopher Lee, who is a horror icon of Hammer and everything else. And even him reading a book in the opening as some kind of, disembodied spirit is better than anything else you're going to see in the whole movie. He's just reading. He's fucking reading a book, and you're engrossed. And then the rest of the movie is just happening around him. And there are points where you just wonder if he went to his trailer and put his head in his hands and thought, what the hell did I sign in for?
I don't think so. I think that Christopher Lee at this point was like, you know what? I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do the best I can because I'm Christopher Lee, and I'm going to get paid, and I'm going to go. This is my job. This is what I do, and I do a good job.
Oh, sure. But I wonder if there were moments where he just was like, oh, boy, this is not going to be
I'm
good.
sure there's movies he liked doing. There's movies he thought
that's what I'm
were a
getting at.
paycheck.
Yeah. No, I'm sure he never showed it. I'm sure when he was on set and doing his stuff, I'm sure he was exactly what he was in the movie, which is very, very good. He's giving all of his effort to it. I mean, it's kind of like Highlander 2 with Sean Connery. Well, Highlander 2 is not a good movie. So you have two polar opposite performances.
But that speech from Sean Connery. From Sean Connery is amazing.
Yeah, Michael Ironside basically is like, I said, fuck it, and I just had a blast, and I don't care, which is what he's doing. And Sean Connery is doing great work as Sean Connery, and then he's getting blasted out of the movie after delivering what is inarguably the best thing in the movie, second only to Katana driving a train through a wall. But even that is nowhere near the, even that whole speech I've watched in its isolation. I've watched the speech more than I've ever watched Highlander 2.
Yeah, the speech is amazing. It's one of those movies that the scene transcends the movie.
Yes, the movie makes, to just go off to Highlander 2 for a minute, makes probably not as many mistakes as Howling 2, but it gets close at times.
No, you know what?
In terms of wasting. In terms of wasting talent. That's what I mean.
It's nowhere near as funny.
No, it's nowhere near as funny, and it's a criminal waste of Virginia Madsen in her prime. So there's many reasons I don't like
Highlander 2, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Highlander 2. Wastes a lot of good people. Howling 2 wastes one really good person, but then destroys any chance of anybody else having a chance to do anything. So it is a masterpiece. I think I called it a masterpiece of trash filmmaking, which I would stand by. It is hilarious. It is inept at a scale that you don't really see very often.
I mean, the editing, just every step of this. The editor was off the rails. The director was off the rails. You've got I think what makes it funny is I think that the actors are all playing it straight. Nobody thinks
they are.
Yeah.
No, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
You know how you said with Fred, Jason Voorhees. Jason Voorhees' character is playing it straight, which is what makes Jason X funny because everybody else is like, "Oh, I'm in a goofy sci-fi movie," and Jason Voorhees is like, "I'm just here to kill everybody. I don't see what everyone's." Yeah. Whereas in this,
I should amend my earlier comment. I said the movie made one smart decision, which was Christopher Lee, but they made a second. There was one other good creative decision at some point. And I don't know if it was early. I don't know if it was late. Somebody made the decision that they were just going to keep playing this band's theme and have the band themselves fucking show up even when they don't make any sense and just play as a band. Just keep playing. Don't worry about what's happening. Don't worry if this makes sense. Just play that fucking groovy music and play a concert. And that was another great decision because at first it seemed strange and then it grew on me quite a bit. And by the end where they're playing somehow inside the werewolf lair, even with the same backdrop as the punk club, which are definitely not the same place. They are not the same place.
No, as you put it, look, they brought the walls.
Yeah, they brought the walls with them, and it does add to my enjoyment of an already bizarrely wonderful film. So it's a specimen. It really is. When people say so bad it's good, this might be the most crystallized, perfect xenomorph, ideal organism version of a so bad it's good movie.
I mean, that
It
I'm
is
telling
in
you,
no way a good movie, but it is a great movie.
the midpoint broke me. It just broke me.
Oh
All
yeah,
that
it's very clear. You just lose your mind in laughter at one point, and that's when they're doing all the cutting. Yeah,
I mean, what is your message? What's going on?
yeah, there is no message. I really believe that they thought that the middle was too boring, and they just started cutting the sex scene in, thinking that at the very least it's a sex scene, even if it is one that would only be, I think, erotic to a very specific audience.
Yeah, and like that idea, they're like, "Hey guys, we want you to snarl and snap and make sounds like you're wolves, like you're dog people." And
But they're not dogs. They're like pigs. They're making
they come off as like
pig sounds.
they're like winking at each other almost, or like doing like a hog sound at each other. It's just so.
It's so weird.
Oh man, just thinking about it. And the funny part is that there's like these little things in there where like, listen, Sybil Danning is a beautiful woman, and there's a few outfits they put her in where you're like, wow, you look magnificent in that outfit. There's a black werewolf, I can't remember her name, but she's like one of the werewolves you see early on, and like honestly,
she's got one outfit that is stunning.
It's the black leather pants with the black blazer and no shirt underneath.
Yeah,
it's like buttoned
and the
up.
red accents. I mean, that's it. She looks good.
She looks amazing. Yeah, I mean, like
yes.
So I mean, there's these little brief instances where you're like, something like that is really incredible. That is really good looking. And some of the special effects are actually quite good. I mean, the eye socket explosion, I enjoyed that. I thought that was well done.
Sure, but for every good one, then there's the awful makeup they put on the black woman when she's a werewolf. Where it looks terrible.
I know she looks awful. I mean,
so it's like every good decision is counteracted by a terrible decision.
12 bad ones. Yeah.
Yeah, it's astonishing.
Oh,
I mean, it
God.
really is astonishing. Where you sit there and think, was there a point where the director and the editor just sat there and looked at what they had and thought, what the fuck are we going to do with this? How do we make this work? And this is the best they could do. You know what? It is a specimen.
So there is, I did read something that said that at some point the director kind of understood what was going on, and the director wanted to make it more funny, and the producers did not agree with him. So I only saw that in one place. I didn't see it again anywhere else. So, if you can't corroborate it.
Well, it makes some sense, because the part that made you lose your mind, I mean, how do you look at that and think that it works as a narrative? I mean, you can't, if you have a brain, think that that's a good idea. The only way it makes sense is to make the audience just start laughing at it, right? I mean, it just destroys anything.
I would absolutely pay to see this movie. I think that's what it is. I would pay to see this movie because it is so bad. Like the level of enjoyment that I received from this movie is so far outweighs like other movies. Like, it's so funny. Like, I don't know if it would work. This is the downside of this. I don't know if it would work on a second viewing. I think on a second viewing, because I knew it was coming, it will be less funny.
Yeah, I wonder about that too.
But on a first viewing, holy shit, it's amazing. Because you're sitting there going, I did not think that this was going to happen. Okay, maybe that's what you got going for you. But yeah, so in conclusion, Howling 2 is so bad it's amusing as fuck.
I nuked that motherfucker off my hard drive because I didn't want to have to give my computer a shower to get the filth off it. That is how inept this goddamn movie is. And yet, I agree with you. I will never watch it again because I don't think you can recapture.
Listen, those three werewolves having an awkward threesome are going to live in my head for years.
Yeah, I would tell anybody. I will tell anybody, if you're going to watch this, watch it. And get people together or watch it yourself, but you will never have the same experience again.
Oh yeah. So that's the thing.
Nothing of it.
Don't look up anything. Just sit down and watch it with the people you want to have this experience with.
And I don't even think us talking about it, like the details of the story don't matter. What I'm saying is, don't watch any clips. Just watch it.
No. Just watch it. Just watch it.
Going
and watch
cold.
it with people, because you won't watch it again after that. This is a one-shot, piss yourself laughing bad movie.
Yeah.
Because it can't possibly be as funny the second time.
No, it can't.
Oh man, those fucking were-vamps or whatever the hell they were.
Whatever the hell they were.
Oh,
So we went
yeah.
from that, and I knew that we had to do the opposite. I was like, okay, I want to watch a movie that is, head to toe quality. And I reviewed Wolfen a while ago, but I think you said you'd
Years
never
ago.
seen it, right?
Or
so long ago you didn't remember it.
Yeah. So I think I saw Wolfen when I was like 15, 16.
Right. So that's quite a while ago.
Yeah, and the thing was that I'd forgotten most of it. But also, Wolfen is a movie that I think you need to be older or of a certain mindset to really feel the scale of it. Because the thing with Wolfen is that it doesn't give you what classic horror thriller movies give you. If this movie in the hands of the wrong director would have tried to give you some kind of big monster reveal at the end, right? And the more subtle terror of this movie is that what are they wolves? The wolves in this movie represent something far scarier than some made-up creature would have represented. But you've got to be on the ball enough to understand what this movie's throwing at you. I think if Howling 2 is one of the most ridiculously bad movies we've ever watched, Wolfen is probably one of the best movies I have seen in a long time. I mean, fucking hands down. Incredible cast, perfect setting, filmed well, and the soundtrack, which is basically James Horner doing an Alien soundtrack before he did Aliens. So it's got, I think I was calling it was like a high-pitch Alien soundtrack, where basically he moved the whole kind of register of the music slightly higher pitch and slowed it down at times. But it's the music from Aliens. It's the music from Aliens, and the wolves, the wolf demons, have predator vision. Like an early version of predator vision. That alone right there makes the movie fascinating as hell. But on top of that, Albert Finney is incredible as this detective character who's not 100% with it. Gregory Hines is always fantastic as a secondary character. And I can't remember his name. Who's the manhunter?
Tom Noonan, the Tooth Fairy.
Yeah, Tom Noonan, the Tooth Fairy. I love it when that guy shows up in the movie. And I love it when he shows up not as a serial killer, because in my head, he's always the Tooth Fairy. So you have this really incredible cast of character actors. And then you have the opposite of Howling 2, you've got an incredibly smart director. So at one point in the movie, the wolves go after Gregory Hines, his character, and they don't go after Albert Finney, right? But they could have, and they don't. And you sit there and you go, well, why didn't they? And at some point, Albert Finney is talking to these Native Americans about these wolfen, these kind of demons that can essentially. It sounds like they can shapeshift. And they say, well, they didn't kill you because they probably looked at you and it's like you have dead eyes. And I thought about that idea that Albert Finney's character had these dead eyes. And I realized, you know what? They're right. Because when you watch the beginning of this movie, Albert Finney shows up to a crime scene where people have been dismembered. And he's just eating his donut, drinking his coffee, which we're going to get to the coffee in a minute because that spurns a very interesting conversation. And then later on, he goes to the morgue and he's watching bodies be taken apart. Murder victims, all kinds of shit. And he's sitting there eating cookies. And he is not batting an eyelash. And I was like, you know what? That is the director showing you that there is something wrong with Albert Finney's character, right? That he is he's just so in this world that it doesn't even faze him. That he is not a normal person anymore. And it's that kind of direction that I really love. That said, the coffee cup. Albert Finney shows up at the beginning of this movie, and the cops have coffee at a murder scene. He goes and he gets a styrofoam cup, which, by the way, if we have young viewers, go look up what a styrofoam cup is. Because I realized, talking to my kids today, that they had no idea what a styrofoam cup was. because
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah.
make styrofoam cups anymore.
No,
So
it's
he has-
not like it used to be. That's for sure.
It's not- yeah, so he has a styrofoam cup, and the way he holds it, he has one finger in the cup. And Joe and I are both somewhat flabbergasted at this. 'Cause like, how are you not burning your finger? And he's like drinking it with his one finger in the cup. Like, it was really weird. It was a very specific way to hold one of these cups that I've never seen before, right? And then he goes over to Gregory Hines' character, who is the what do you call it? I'm just gonna call
Well,
him
he's
the morgue.
basically a what do you call it? Not
he's
a
the morgue
coroner, but like
doctor.
a forensic pathologist. I guess
He's the
would probably
forensic
be the-
pathologist. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so Gregory Hines' character is over with one of the bodies that was basically decapitated,
Yeah.
and he comes over, and Albert Finney kneels down and they're looking at the body, and he offers Gregory Hines coffee, and Gregory Hines takes the cup of coffee from him, drinks it like 2 times, and then hands it back to Albert Finney, who continues to drink it. Have you ever seen a movie where a cup of coffee is passed between 2 police officers in New York City?
Nope, never.
Or in the United States?
Not when they weren't romantically involved.
Right?
No.
Now, and I'm not saying that Gregory Hines and them were romantically involved. I'm just saying there's there's an entirely different temperament to this movie that is fascinating. And it's, I mean, honestly, it's a very smart way for the director to immediately show you that these people know each other, that these people are fond of each other. They're close, you know, because you wouldn't share your coffee cup with anybody, you know, like it's,
Yeah.
I mean, I know this movie was a flop, and I think it's a flop because it expected too much of the audience. Because when they start getting into what these creatures are, it very much reminds me of It. It's like the opposite of It. So the alien presents itself as a clown, right? Because it enables it to move around unseen. Whereas you can't see its true form; it's beyond what humans can understand, right? So, like, I think you physically cannot look at it. I think you have to look away. Like, you can kind of feel it at the edge of your vision, but you can never look right at it. And in this movie, the Wolfen are not wolves. You see them as wolves. It is what is presented in your scope of reality. But that's not what they are. But you can never see what they are. And I think what it is that most movie audiences, they're like, well, I want to see what they are. I want creatures. I want like weird shit. But the movie says, no. You can't see what they are. These are beings beyond what you understand. And the most I'm going to give you is I'm going to let you see what they see. But I'm not going to let you see their true form because humans can't see it. And they hold to that. And even at the end when like wolves magically appear on the penthouse apartment of a building, anybody who has problems with those wolves appearing in that and the top floor of that building doesn't get it. Because that's the whole point. They didn't need an elevator. They didn't need stairs. They're there. They're not wolves. You're just seeing what they're currently giving you. And I think this movie is fantastic. I dare call it ahead of its time. Although I don't know if there's a lot of people that would have the patience to fully like go with it. I mean, this is a brilliant movie. I said to Joe, so when we were watching, I got so into this movie that at times I lost track. I forgot that we were being recorded watching it because I was so enthralled with how this movie was presenting itself and what was going on. I mean, Albert Finney is amazing. Gregory Hines is amazing. The Tooth Fairy is amazing. The movie makes sense. The director is supremely intelligent. I want to go see what other movies he did. I like the fact that the woman in this movie, who is a psychologist working for a security company, she is not a damsel in distress. She has a gun. She is basically, you know, she's not your typical like, you know, oh, save me. Like, there's none of that. And also the cop mentality, whereas Albert Finney is not afraid. Like, he comes to be very. I don't think he comes to be afraid. I think he comes to realize that there's stuff beyond him.
Yes.
But he comes to understand it. He's not afraid of it so much as, I mean, he's afraid of the scale of it. but he understands it. And that understanding is the reason that he's one of the few people who encounters this. But yeah, it's such a fascinating movie. I do want to read the book now because I'm like, man, I wonder what the author did with it. But I think that the book for me is going to lose in the fact that it's the visuals of it. I mean, this is they're using these parts of New York City that are being destroyed. So you have this like no man's land part of New York, which is when they were basically they were tearing down a lot of the old tenement buildings and turning them into new apartments and sky rises and all this shit. So like it's funny too about like local history. My wife knew nothing about that. The idea that they were like huge swaths of New York City, especially like in the boroughs, that were just like kind of vaporized down and turned into new stuff.
Yeah, there's a period of New York City history where it very much in parts resembles like what Gaza would look like today, where there are parts that look like the Blitz hit it. Like they look war-torn. It looks like somebody bombed and there were a series of fires. I mean, there was a number of things. New York was in a very bad spot in the 70s. And, it took a long time for it to become what it is now. But it was a very different New York City to anybody who is, say, I don't know, under 30. Yeah. Has no idea. When we were there, it was well past the worst of it. My father would talk to me about how bad it was when he was younger there. And it was a place where, you often hear that there's a lot of histrionics around. Oh, all these cities they're so terrible. You better be careful. All this bullshit they're coming up with. And I said to you on the commentary, I'm like, motherfuckers who think the city is dangerous now, let me tell you something. That's where in the daylight you didn't want to wander around without a fucking shotgun. There were in broad daylight you would disappear because there were large sections of the city where, as you said, there was nobody and there was just rubble and you could be grabbed off the street.
It was very Wild West.
Insane the difference.
It was very Wild West. Yeah.
Yeah. So this movie
and in the midst of
movies,
this, you get demon wolves. You know what I mean? Like it's.
Well, as they say, they're gods of the old world. Yeah, they're elder gods that still walk the earth. So kind of the opposite of
he says
the mysticism.
He says the intelligent ones learned to hunt in the city. The lesser ones basically retreated into the forest. They retreated away.
They became the scavengers of your world. They
but
take
the
intelligent
disease,
ones, the sick, the rest of it.
Yes, exactly. The people who won't be missed. Yeah.
And the reason that they're being exposed now and they're driving closer is because the city is bulldozing and trying to do urban revitalization. They're trying to build new buildings and new tenements where the rubble is. And this mirrors, of course, a lot of what we see. I said this on the commentary to you, and anybody who knows ecology and looks at the way that human encroachment on natural areas works is you have predators that don't come into contact with people until you go into their areas. And now the thing is, they were fine when they were being left alone, but now that humans are showing up, they're coming out because there's no place left for them to go. And so there is a very, very interesting secondary and tertiary theme going on in this underneath the surface about the arrogance of man. The thing that you lose when you become civilized. They don't use the word civilized, but there's a line where Edward James Olmos, who is playing a Native American, even though he is not at all even a little percent Native
that's
American.
Troubling, yeah.
that's of its era. There's a lot of that happens. The sensitivity to having accurate representation was not where it should have been in 1980, that's for sure. And so he has this line where he says, you gained technology, but you lost your senses. And this is a common idea and a common criticism of, modernization. The idea that you become infatuated with whatever the technology is at the time. And certainly there's that same criticism is around now where, it takes the forms of people just staring at their phones. Where literally they don't have a sense of where they are. I mean, quite literally, there are people who walk into trash cans because they're staring at Facebook or Instagram.
Remember
that's
that episode of new Doctor Who where everybody is basically hooked into this Facebook online world, and no one actually pays attention to what's going on the outside, and they're all being murdered by like slow moving slug monsters.
And Gregory Hines at one point, again, this isn't what I like about the movie is it doesn't go too literal.
Yeah.
He says, well, who cares about the people disappearing? Nobody cares who they are because they're often street people or they're, the only reason this gets noticed is because it's a couple of rich white people in Central Park.
Oh, and that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. There's multiple documentaries, podcasts that cover the idea that particularly sex workers and women of color and indigenous people, when they vanish, nobody gives a fuck. But you get a pretty young blonde girl that goes missing on a college campus, and everybody's scouring the fucking country.
I'm watching the Longmire series so we're in season 4. Are we in season 4? We're in season 3 or 4, and they're getting very heavy now into kind of like the politics of the res and basically what it means to people who live there and off the res, and there's this thing in there where a bunch of white guys rape a girl on the res. So the FBI has the non-res cops don't have jurisdiction because it was on the res, and then the res cops don't have jurisdiction because it was 2 white guys that left the res. And unless you can convince the FBI to take up the investigation, no one touches it. And it's that kind of utter clusterfuck of a situation. Yeah. But I do love
like I said,
fact.
I do like the fact that the movie doesn't overtly say any of this. It just has the dialogue suggests it, and you put the pieces together. Gregory Hines doesn't say, "Oh well, nobody cares when the homeless go missing." He just says, "Well, nobody cares when these people go missing," and he just leaves it at that. There's no more to it. He doesn't have to come out and point it.
When Albert Finney's character starts talking to the Native American workers who've been brought in to work on the bridge, essentially is what it is. And the myth, it's funny because they kind of joke with him well, is it real? I don't know. Maybe we're just fucking with you. He's like, or maybe it is real. And there's this idea of it very much gets into this idea of Christian mythology where it's you and I grew up with Christian mythology, but we don't fucking believe in it, right? Both of us are atheists, right? But the thing is, let's say you did believe in Christian mythology and shit from Christian mythology actually started happening. Right? You wouldn't believe it. If winged people started coming down and people were being punished but for their sins. And the number of fucked up things that can happen from, people were turning to stone. Cities were being struck down because they were full of sin. Madness, right? And this movie is kind of like that, where it's this sense of, oh yeah, something from a contrary mythological view of the world is coming to be true, and it is fucking with your worldview. And as a cop in New York, where a cop is considered to be the top predator in the New York jungle, to suddenly realize that, well, the whole species is prey. It's a massive world. It's a world mind shift for this cop, who up to this point in this movie had no fear. He went into everything. He had his gun. He had no fear whatsoever. And so, yeah, this movie is really a crazy head trip. It's incredible to go from Howling to Wolfen, because they're so far away from each other that to travel that far cinematically is like fucking whiplash.
Yeah.
I would tell, if you like werewolf movies, you should watch these 2 movies. Don't watch them in the same night. It'll break your brain.
No.
Break your brain. But you need to see these, because Howling 2 is an absurdity, and Wolfen takes it to a whole other kind of level of intelligence. You're not going to get your classic werewolf movie. There isn't going to be some guy in a suit. You're not going to have transformations. What you're going to have is elder gods. Elder gods that are not going to show themselves to you, because why would they? They're camouflaged. And you're a stupid human, and what are you going to see? It begs the question of, what does Albert Finney's character's life look like after this? Because I think at the end, he basically goes with the company line that it's terrorists, right? But the problem is, but what happens when it doesn't stop? Because he's not part of that investigation anymore. But what happens when the Wolfen keep killing to preserve their territory. You know,
Yeah.
does this come to a header at some point?
Well, you would assume, okay, if I had to project out and guess,
Yeah.
he quits the police force because he knows what's coming and he doesn't want to be involved.
You think
he understands
leaves,
what's
you think
going
he
on
leaves,
because
he leaves New York?
at the end, I think he leaves the city entirely and goes upstate. Yeah, I think he does. Because at the end, he puts down his gun when the wolves are confronting him.
He unloads it, yeah.
Yeah, loads it, puts it down, and then destroys the model of the city, which communicates to them that he understands what's going on. And
yeah,
they leave him alone.
the renovation. He destroys the renovation so they can see
Yes.
that he understands. Yeah.
And so the next logical step is he has to leave. I mean, at that point, his friends are dead anyway. You know what I mean?
Well, it's just
the
him and
captain's
it's
dead.
just him and this. Yeah, the captain, the doctor, the
Yeah.
wolf expert. It's just him and the psychologist.
So basically,
Yeah.
I think he goes to the psychologist and says, "I'm
Yeah,
leaving.
and by
You
the
can come with
way,
me or you cannot, but I'm leaving."
To kind of connect to Howling 2, so Howling 2 has that hilariously awkward, weird sex sequence. In Wolfen, there is a sex sequence between the Albert Finney and the psychologist, and it's very strange because it's seen through the eyes of the Wolfen. So you see it happening, and it honestly, through their eyes, it seems so awkward. Not awkward like you're gonna laugh your ass off at
It's
like a Howling
alien.
2.
It
seems so
it's not
alien
normal.
through their eyes.
Yeah.
So no, I fucking adored this movie. Absolutely adored this movie.
Yeah. Well, that's why I wanted to watch it again, because I raved about it when I reviewed it the first time. I was really struck by this movie.
And I was fascinated. I was very fascinated about it, and I forgot about it. You know, but I'm sure that I saw part of this when I was a kid, and it went right over my head. Because I was like, "We're the monsters.
I have a movie like this that we're going to watch.
They're just wolves. Why are they just wolves?" Whereas, like when they get older, you're like, "Oh no, dude, they're elder gods. You can't see it. You don't have the fucking perception to be able to see what those things really are."
And this was my point about unintentionally, both of these movies look like werewolf movies, and yet neither of them are, in very different ways. But neither of them are what they are basically marketed as, because Howling 2 is marketed as a werewolf movie. In fact, the subtitle says it. Wolfen, when you look at the poster, looks like a werewolf movie. It's a wolf with glowing eyes, and the title is Wolfen. So you would think that these are werewolf movies, but in fact, they really neither are. One is pretending it is, but it isn't. It's a vampire movie. The other is not at all, but that's the easiest way to market it to a mainstream audience. The wideband appeal. How do you market this? Oh, yeah, this is a movie where elder wolf spirits are rebelling against man's encroachment on nature, as well as the fact that as we advance, we also recede. Everybody will want to see that with popcorn, right? Yeah, great. Okay, we'll sell lots of tickets.
No, this is too clever a movie.
It's too out there. It's too advanced. But
I fucking love it, and I think that's the problem.
It's a beautiful movie.
When you and I love a movie or show, it's kind of like it's bound for ruin.
It's fucking doomed. Yeah.
Like that's the thing is, like, you know, I worry about the degree to which we loved Alien Earth, because I feel like that we're going to doom it, because it's so good to us that we're like, you know, other people. I've read a lot of people refer to it that they think the show is too full of itself, that it's being too brainy. Where is my slaughter and murder? You know, like.
I think its benefit, its lucky timing is,
you know what?
Romulus was not as well critically received. This was better, and there was audience.
If you watch Alien Earth and you really enjoyed it, go watch Wolfen.
Ooh, that's
because I think that it's the same brand of intelligence that's going on here.
Yeah.
They're setting things up. They're letting you see things. I mean, I was going on and on about that. I was thinking about that sequence where why did they kill Gregory Hines, and they didn't kill Albert Finney? And I was like, you know, it's because they knew he wasn't going to pull the trigger. Because there's a thing later on he's talking to the native guys in the bar, and they say, well, you know, you can't lie to them. He's like, they can see the truth because they're not fucking people. Yeah. People can lie. These things are beyond that. So I think the truth of it was that even though Albert Finney and Gregory Hines both had guns, Gregory Hines was going to shoot. Albert Finney was never going to shoot. And they knew that.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, they still terrorized the fuck out of him, but they didn't kill him. They had him where they wanted him, and they did not kill him.
Yeah.
You know, so either they left him because they knew that he would bring them to where he would bring them what they wanted, But honestly, they had already killed the big real estate guy, you know. So like at that point, really, they were just cleaning up their mess. You know, they killed the doctor and the wolf expert who were beginning to kind of gain on them, and the only person left who really had any concept of what was going on was Albert Finney and the captain. Well, they took the captain out, and Albert Finney.
Boy, did they?
Yeah, and Albert Finney basically gave in to them. He was like, "No, you know what? I know what you are. I get it. I'm out. I'm not part of this."
Yeah.
And in that respect, the Wolfen are kind of fair. Well, they're like, "Okay, you're out. Get out. You're not a problem."
I think I truly do believe that's the next thing he does is leave the city the next day.
I mean, I wouldn't stay in the fucking city. I'll tell you that right now.
No, you know what's going to keep
Honestly,
happening. Like you
I don't
said.
know where you go after that. When you suddenly realize there's elder gods running around the world dressed as animals, where the fuck do you go?
Well, but you can live in peace with them. You just stay.
Oh yeah, yeah,
way.
but it's that idea is like, you know, the dumber ones,
go upstate.
the dumber ones retreated into the forests.
Yeah.
Honestly, you know where you go? You go to the suburbs. That's where you go. You hide in the suburbs, the suburban sprawl. Oh my God! Wouldn't that be funny? New Jersey becomes the stronghold of the
Wolfen.
Well, no, of the non-Wolfen, because it's all just fucking suburban sprawl. The wolves aren't. The wolves aren't. The Wolfen aren't interested because there isn't enough population density, so they hide in the city, and then
Wolfen stay in the city,
and the dumber ones stay in the forest because it's not it's not dense enough for them.
Right.
So apparently, you're safe in the suburbs. What a strange concept.
Get out of the city, everybody.
Well, there you go.
Anti-city movie. So, on that note, we have reviewed 4 films and talked for over 3 hours. So, it is absolutely time for us to go. So, you really, honestly, there's a little of something for everybody. None of these movies would I tell anybody not to watch. They each give you a little bit of something different. And, if you're a token expert, what do you think of the elves? Curious. Outside of that, everybody, whatever you do with your weekend, have a good time doing it, and we will talk to you again next week. Visit OzoneNightmare.com to subscribe to new episodes, browse through our back catalog, or to find links to support the show. Follow @OzoneNightmare on Twitter for the latest episode postings and other show information. If 280 characters just isn't enough, you can always email us, theozonenightmare@gmail.com. The opening theme for the show is provided by Heartbeat Hero. The closing theme is provided by Ogre. Please visit and support these artists using the links in the show notes for each episode.